Yeah, I'm looking at twins right now. This is fucking insane. I'm sorry.
We're not
I
twins.
should have wore some glasses.
I know.
We're
You
not
guys
the same.
Or backwards at.
We
Or
are
camera.
not the same.
Welcome back to the Dealing Seconds podcast with your Cards and Beards crew. I'm Chris.
And I am Danny.
Sir drops a lot. I'm kidding. That's me. Danny, how you been, man?
I've been doing okay. Sorry, the dog's a little loud for some reason. I've been doing pretty all right. You know, it's been a rough week, but whatever.
I mean, we all go through ups and downs with weeks. We just got to move forward. That's all we can do right now. And then your dog is just going around in circles. I know how it feels.
No, I don't know what the hell she's doing.
She wants attention.
Probably.
But I think this week we have actually a really cool, interesting couple guests.
Oh,
I think we
I am so excited.
Yeah, we posted on Instagram. If you haven't seen us on Instagram, well, first off, why aren't you following us? Go right now.
Bro.
Our link is in the description below. Follow all of us, including Cards and Beards. We're gonna have two awesome guests today. Two great guys. Honestly, I thought they were twins when I saw them next to each other.
Yeah, they
It's scary.
the Carter Con and whatnot. Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
It was very, very creepy. We're not gonna say who they are yet. You will see in a couple minutes.
Yes.
But don't worry. If you've seen our Instagram, you know who it is already. But for those who haven't,
I'm very
seen our
excited. You know, one is an awesome dude who knows how to film.
Yes.
You know, and he's been learning cardistry pretty hardcore lately and really dedicating himself to it and chronicalizing it, which is awesome. And then the other is half responsible for this obsession of mine. I'm blaming him for it. So,
and I hope you tell him when we start talking to him.
oh, I will. I will, because this is his fault.
No, it should be his fault. Honestly, I mean, I blame you for my obsession with these cards.
So it's his fault for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, basically. No, but don't worry, guys. We won't say who it is yet. Like I said, you just have to wait and see. You have to hear us for a little bit longer. But I think it's going to be a really interesting podcast because we get to hear the backstories of everybody. We get to know them, know why they got into cardistry or cards in general. What got them into this, into this crazy community. And we'll just have some fun with them. I mean, they're awesome guys. Can't wait to give them a talk. So you know what, Dan? Why not bring them in?
All right, let's do it.
So welcome to the podcast, guys.
Hey guys, it's Cards and Beer. Oh. I thought you said you were ready for it.
I was ready for it. We had this whole thing like planned out, and then Nate had to just go and F everything up. God damn it. All right, so guys,
All right, just restart it.
No, so I'm keeping this all in. This is all
No,
this
Yeah,
is all staying in.
we don't cut.
No, this is all staying in. This is all
Cutting's
staying
not
in.
in the budget.
Oh
No,
no.
there's no Tyler knows this. There's no budget. I do this all myself as well. So I am.
All right, then I'm going to apologize right now.
No, it's
Sorry,
fine.
guys.
No, that's actually funny. So thank you, Nate. So we have Nate, and of course we have the amazing Tyler on the podcast as well. Herget. And I got your
Is that
last
how
name
you
right.
say it?
Right?
I thought I was pressing sound effects on a button and it didn't work.
Yeah.
But you did. Herget.
And wait, why? So Tyler's amazing, and Nate's just Nate.
Well, Nate interrupted me, so I had to. It's just Nate.
Lash out.
Come on now.
All right. So then,
Bring
Dan, you
it
introduce them
back.
then. Jeez.
No, you already introduced him. I'm not
I
going
know.
to introduce it again.
It's going to be like 15 minutes later. We're still working on this intro.
Yeah,
Seriously.
right?
We'll come.
All right, guys, let's workshop it again. Let's run it back. Let's do it again.
Okay. Welcome, Nate and Tyler, to the podcast. Take
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Great
You're
first
welcome.
take.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh my God, could you get any more Boy Scoutish?
I've never in Boy Scouts, actually.
Me neither.
I swear
was.
on my honor.
I was.
No, I'm from New York. We don't have Boy Scouts. My Boy Scouts was like, hey, don't die on the sidewalk.
From the Yoik,
From New York.
from the Bronx, or
Die
from
on
Brooklyn.
this
I'm
sidewalk.
from Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Born and raised.
You ever seen the Newsies?
I've never seen them on Broadway. I actually saw the video of the
Disney
Broadway
movie?
show. The Disney Plus Broadway
Oh, gotcha.
version.
Have you seen the actual Disney movie with young Christian Bale?
No, that one I've never seen.
Worth a watch. I watched that like multiple times in middle school choir class, and always wanted to be Jack Kelly.
Interesting.
That explains a lot.
In Santa Fe. Yeah.
Look, I wasn't the first one to sing on the podcast. This
I
time.
can't even
know.
do it.
This is the first time. The first time ever. Nate, you
All right,
just
I'll do it
broke
again. I'll do a song request really quick. I'll do an intro song, and you can put that underneath you talking and bringing us in.
Just so YouTube doesn't catch it.
It will
and then
not. I
demonetize
already
us.
sung off pitch, so it's definitely not gonna copyright strike us for sure.
I edited a video today where I put there was like background radio music going on, and I've had that happen before where they like blank out all the audio. So this time I found the way around is you put your own music in over that, and it sounds kind of crazy for a second, but then it keeps it in there. That's that if
You gotta love YouTube and their algorithms and actually
Dude,
their copyright
I
striking.
know
It's
stuff you gotta pay attention to anymore.
nonstop, and I'm like, the
Be
same
careful
thing.
out here in these streets, these Brooklyn streets, my dude. These
Seriously,
Manhattan
bro.
streets.
Dude, you have no idea. It's crazy out here. You know, all we want is a cup of coffee, and we want to chill on the stoop, and we're
Cup of
good.
coffee.
Cup of coffee.
Oh my
Oh, you
goodness.
hit up the bodega. We'll get some stuff. We'll head back to
You
the
get,
bar.
you get a bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup, and a cup of coffee, and you're good.
Do you have to say it like that? Like
Nothing better than hearing
That's
a
it.
New
No,
Yorker
so for us-
with a New York accent.
Yeah, for us, it's no longer a bacon, egg, and cheese.
bacon, egg, and cheese.
It's bacon, egg, and cheese. That's
Yeah.
one. It's one word.
It's like
straight
one
across.
word.
That's what's on the menu. That's the number 3.
No, it's number one.
Oh, you're right.
It's the
I
one
would
and only thing. You
Yeah.
get this.
You only get that. Yeah, they have no other choices. Well,
I'm
guys,
gonna stop derailing us.
no, it's all
Yeah.
good. No, this is what we do. But first off, guys, I want to say thank you guys for both coming on to the podcast. If you guys are watching this on YouTube and you're not seeing double, they are actually two separate people.
Yes, they are.
But we like to joke and say they are twins because honestly, if you ever see them on their Instagram together, or like when Nate did like his togetherness, or when they were at the Car Street Con, honestly they look like
timing.
twins.
Were we
It's-
both wearing black at some point, Tyler?
Yes.
I'm sure we have. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I-
we were
I mean,
wearing
Tyler's-
the,
Tyler's
XX
wardrobe is
Carson
all
Con
black.
shirt.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
No,
wearing
we
the
were wearing
shirts.
the X-Tex San Diego shirts, and there's a picture of us at the con that I sent one of them. That was like literally the two of us.
Yeah.
It's insane because I was like, wait, you guys are freaking twins.
It is nuts. Yeah,
Only
we met at
6
the
years apart?
Art of Play store, right?
Yeah. So we literally were at the Art of Play store. I'm like walking around being my extroverted self, like asking everybody what their name is, where they're from. Tyler's like obviously being behind the scenes, is already getting B-roll of everything, and I'm like, never seen this guy in the community before. Wonder who he is. And we were just like chatting, and he was like, "Yeah, well, where are you from?" He was like, "I'm from Whitestown," and I was like, "Indiana?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You're 45 minutes from me, and we met in San Diego."
Dude,
That's so that is so random.
No, but that's the same thing
right,
with you, Dan. That's happened to you. Like you met someone that lives not that far from you, but you went to Vegas to see them.
Yeah, we all, a couple of us flew to Vegas last year to hang out and meet each other in real life, and yeah, he's like half hour away from me. So the first time I met him was at the airport in Vegas, even though we left.
But you
the
knew
same
him
airport.
online previously.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I didn't know Tyler previously at all.
it was very blind. That was,
but yeah, that is crazy. That
was nuts.
You know what? It's funny. I call that a meet cute.
Eat cute. Yep,
cute.
I heard of it. I
Yeah.
think that's only for when people date, though. And
I mean, well, exceptions can be made.
so
Exceptions can be made here. You know, friendships are another type of relationship.
they are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
Especially
That qualifies.
cardistry ones.
Yeah.
That's-
yes, especially with
best friendships.
seriously, thumbnail of this thing is gonna be you two spliced together with a little heart around you two, like
oh
twinsies.
my goodness.
Hashtag Nyler.
What is up with all the views on this one?
Oh man.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
so
we got
so-
a hashtag.
you guys meet at Art of Play, the capsule, right? The play capsule, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You find out you live near each other. Does your bond just start
Romance
right there?
ends.
No, that's it.
I mean,
Womp
it
womp.
really did. So he showed me. So I filmed. I filmed him playing with cards, of course. I was like, so what can you do? And he's like, well, actually, quite a bit.
Yeah. So I was
And so he
go.
was working on. Yeah, you were working on something at that point. I think it was Ali or something, but I can't remember. Anyways, it wasn't probably a month or so, month or two.
It's
How long did-
almost 3 months ago.
two,
It was in
3
June.
months,
It's
yeah.
August. It's almost September.
Yeah, so it was in August.
No, it was in June.
June. Dude, I
June 20.
have no
It was like-
concept
hold
of
on.
time anymore.
One,
Yeah, it was
it was over 2 months ago. It was a little over 2 months ago. Right? That seems
Yeah.
like it happened last week.
First off, COVID makes us realize that time is, we have no sense of time anymore. And all
Time
of a
doesn't
sudden,
exist anymore.
it doesn't. But then when all of a sudden we have to be our extroverted selves, and Nate's like, yes, finally, I could be myself again.
Oh my
Wow. That was an impersonation.
It was a little flamboyant for my taste.
Yeah,
I don't
little
think
too much.
I definitely play that character sometimes, but am not that way in person.
No, but
He did play
it's
John. He did
not
play Johnny
off,
Appleseed in
but-
a trailer for OBC once.
I did
if
do that.
Do recall?
oh,
Yep. I still have the actually.
if you have the video, that's gonna be hilarious.
I have. Okay, so we can dive into that at some point if you want to. The
Oh,
whole
we
OPC
will.
Controversy. Great.
Oh, we will. I know Dan does.
I have a. So I have. Hold on. I wish I could. I'm looking at what I can unplug and what I can't unplug so the audio doesn't go out.
Don't even worry about it at this point.
Okay,
You're
there's something over there that's full of a bookshelf of like all the cards that I have that's taller than me. But then I saved a special place over here on a different shelf, which has all of the prototypes from when I was with OPC, the hat, the sweatshirt, the T-shirt, the prototypes of the decks. I have a brick that I painted. So one dumb thing we did in college was the door stands didn't work. So part of like the floor, like tradition was you just like paint a brick, whatever color you wanted, and that was the brick that kept your door open. And so I painted. Hold on, let me grab it. This is gonna make.
Paint a brick.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's pretty cool. The dude has an impressive amount of OPC stuff, as you might imagine.
Well, I would hope so.
I would hope so.
A cinder block brick.
Nice.
Nice.
To look like squeezers.
That is ridiculous.
And this is a
That is
real
cool.
brick. And I have it next to a brick of these.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, and if you're watching on YouTube right now, people are like,
Yeah.
I have a
You-
cinder block
collectors.
brick. Oh wait, hold on.
They're gonna be flooded with messages. How much for that brick?
Yeah. You know what kind of person Nate is, though, is I was there
You hear
when the
this?
first time I went to his house.
Can you hear
was
this tapping?
There you go.
If you guys don't know, I'm tapping a brick lightly for your ASMR pleasure. Doing some brick
Nate, I'm
scratch.
trying to compliment you, but
Sorry.
you're bricking me right now.
I'm bricking.
you're playing with your brick too much.
So I was at his house, and I was like, I've never seen so many cards in one spot before. And I thought, I was like, okay, that's cool. But then I saw that what he just showed you with all the squeezers in it, but I saw him in like what was most fascinating to me wasn't the cards, it was the brick box that it was in. It was like a standard USPCC one, and I've only seen those in like everybody's stories and stuff. I've like never seen a brick box before until I went there, and then I opened it and was like, oh wow, there's a lot of squeezers in here. And then the first thing dude is like, if you want one of those, you can have one. I was like, I mean, yoink.
Did you take it and just run before he changed it?
I was like, I mean, good. I think both times I've been there, he's like, here, you want this deck?
Have
And
you
then
gotten
last
away
time
with
he
an
gave me some
uncut sheet yet?
classics. No, I haven't gotten away. We're saving that for our jam studio one day. We got it so that we can.
Tyler, you can't. Tyler, that's a leak.
Yeah, spoiler.
Okay.
So
need,
what I have is a
funding.
whole bunch of all the uncuts that I got from OPC. I have 2 of each, so I can do one face forward one, one
nice.
back one. And Cam and I were gonna sign all of them, but we never got one of the Peelers v1. That's a whole weird deal. And if we have this big jam studio where we have people over to host or jam, or like a free functioning creative studio, or people to like bar out for space of like trading card tournaments or whatever, we want to put those on the wall. I was gonna put them on the wall in this room here, but I don't know if there's even enough space for them to be properly shown off. Or
Okay.
if XDex ever gets a brick and mortar store, which I want to happen at some point.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. The
actually
the
heard-
world needs more of those kind of places.
And it's actually funny because talking about like uncuts, you guys know Sean Friesian from Canada. Fix It Friesian.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Well, I know Tyler knows him.
Oh,
Sean's-
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I know.
I've live
Everybody-
streamed with. Hold on, I've
Everybody.
live streamed with him before. That was supposed to be
Yeah.
funny. Sean, if you're watching this, I know who you are. And
That went right over.
I know you did because I've seen you on his lives. It's actually hilarious. But he actually had a great idea of how to actually showcase uncuts. So like if you go to Walmart or like Target or something, they have the posters on like a rack, but
the
you can
poster
actually
rack.
the poster racks to put them on in a poster rack and hang that on your wall, and just almost like as if you were a tattoo parlor or Walmart, you can scroll through those, and that's your
Yeah, but then you can't have the fun of putting your uncut sheets on your living room wall, so your wife has to look at them every day.
That is a problem that
But if
you
they're
have to
in,
deal with.
but if they're in the brick and mortar shop, then she wouldn't have to, regardless.
This is true because
It
she
sounds
would
like a
never go in
very
them.
niche problem.
Yeah, yeah.
See, this is why I live alone, and I only have my uncuts hanging.
And whose uncuts do you have hanging on your wall, Chris?
I have yours, Dan.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
What?
Dan's were the first that I bought.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Tyler.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's. I only have 2 uncut sheets, and they're both Dan's. They're both signed. And they're both hanging.
Oh, well,
And,
would you look
So
at
you
that?
don't have any.
obscenely large frames because I couldn't find the exact size frames for them, so I bought a little bit too large. But whatever, I don't care. I like it, so it's there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But yeah, that was when you were saying
Okay.
the side by side. That's what it just made me think of Sean and his idea.
That is a neat idea.
I thought it was great. So Nate, you just talked about OPC, and I know Dan wanted to talk about this.
Well, all I wanted to say
I'll let
was
Dan lead.
when I was starting to get into cards, the first custom deck I saw was this banana deck on Facebook, and I'm like, huh, that's cool. I'll get one. Well, I've never had a deck non-bicycle before, and then that just opened the floodgates to me buying the 600 plus decks that I have now. OPC was my
catalyst.
first drug, you know.
Oh my
But
gosh.
like, of course, back then I didn't know that if you're gonna buy a deck, maybe you should buy 3, maybe 2 or 3 if you can, not just one and then beat that deck into the ground.
That was
But yeah,
OPC.
You're supposed to know. That's the part of starting. That's the fun
Exactly.
of learning.
Exactly. So I mean, I eventually got
You took the training wheels off. You had
Yes.
training wheels, and then you took them off. Now you know.
But I just remember just going, what is this? And then squeezers came, and then the OPC just started just gaining traction and just blew up, and I was just along for the ride, and it introduced me to all these people that I know now online, you know, beyond these 2 guys. But yeah, it's your fault.
That, in all honesty, that is such a cool story of just hearing, like, I love telling people the basic OPC story is Cam Toner had this idea for a banana deck of cards, and I kind of looked at him like he was stupid, and I'm like, what? And then he showed me what he meant, and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. I don't know who would, like, essentially the goal was literally to make a custom deck of cards with our design on it. It was not to be like for anyone else. It wasn't to start a business. It was just to make the reason was to try to get a deck of cards that we made at the quality that we wanted, and make playing cards at the time weren't even close to good.
Yeah.
So actually, one moment.
Uh-oh. Here comes the proto. Here
The
comes
proto is like paper. That's crazy. So you got a Facebook Live, or not Facebook Live? You
Just
got
a Facebook ad, yeah.
and it was just like, you might like this, and you're
Because
like,
I wasn't into the Instagram thing just yet. I didn't,
That's
you
so
know,
cool.
I'm old. I didn't understand it.
So because we wanted to start it at with the quality that we wanted, we were like, how do we print 2,500 of them and as college students afford that? And so it was like, okay, Kickstarter is how people have done it before. We'll do that. Then Riffle Shuffle reached out to us, Kevin Yu, and was like, hey, we don't want to see you flop on Kickstarter. Can we just fund you? And we're like, yeah. Why? Essentially, like, if this is real, absolutely. We're not really taking a big loss. People might be stealing intellectual property, but realistically, we had put like $40 to $60 in it with the 3 or 4 prototypes that we made, and it was like, the potential gain is definitely worth the loss if it's real. And then it was, and then they came to like my dorm at college, and we opened the box together in my room, and we're like holding printed cards. We're holding this deck. I went and grabbed a couple things from my shelf real quick. We're holding the Peelers V1 in our hands, and we're like, oh, actually, this is something you guys might not know. Do you still have yours on you, Dan?
No, I sadly kind of sold them all. Sorry.
That's okay. No, it's fine. I was just going to point out to you that on this box, my name is misspelled.
Oh, I didn't even notice
I
that.
didn't
On
know
the
that.
bottom, it says designed by Cam Toner and Nate Lax. Like laxative.
Yeah. Huh.
So,
That's hilarious.
and then what's funny is after that, it was just by OPC and Riffle Shuffle. So my name never got spelled correctly on the box ever. To
Nice.
this day.
Wow.
But so we were like, we did it. We did the thing. Like, we had a dream. It's been achieved. Done. Like, what do we even do now? And then Kevin, you reached out to us and was like, so what fruit do you guys want to do next? And we're like, we get to do it again?
That'd be so cool.
Nah. And then obviously we kept doing them. And the last one that I worked on with OPC was the carvers. Watermelon carvers were the last one I had my hand in. And then the first one officially that I had nothing to do with was the Peelers V3, the gold one.
Okay.
That was the first one where I had nothing to do with it.
But
I brought you two other.
8 with them?
I was a part. Yes. Maybe 7.5.
Yeah.
8. I mean, technically 8. I don't think I was there for the launch of Watermelons, but I was there for the design process. My contribution was, I was like, without a doubt, one thing that looks cool on decks nowadays is that, and if we're gonna try to do something different, because he was all about doing something different, and that's where he was like. Actually, hold on. I do not want to throw him under the bus with this because I know that there was also some controversy with it. But he was definitely behind Shuckers in terms of wanting to be different.
And I applaud him for it.
That was my. That was my Peelers V1.
Yeah.
Really?
That was the first custom deck I ever bought.
Shuckers.
And you started with Shuckers.
Yeah, started with Shuckers, dude. And I still have, it's one of the few that I have displayed from the half bricks.
That's
that
awesome.
I actually have on my shelf.
It is cool.
It is their best half brick in my opinion.
Love
the
it.
silo.
That silo was awesome.
I love that silo.
It's just different.
I think my favorite was either Peelers V2 with the shipment crate that had all the
the crate.
wooden crates.
Yeah.
That one's
Yeah.
cool.
Or
I have it
the
somewhere.
juice box, the drink pouch.
Yeah.
No. When Snackers V1 came out, before it was V1, people were like, you know what's funny? Actually, people, Cam and I looked at each other and almost flipped our lid because after we came out with Snackers, it was when Fontaine Futures came out with theirs in bags. And Cam was like, we did it first. Obviously, like nobody knows that Snackers came first. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Fontaine Futures, the first bags cards, because that's what got all the publicity. But it was just funny. But I brought you two things, Dan, to show you. One is the prototype Peelers deck that I use in all my pictures that I re-edited the pictures of, and these are how gross they look.
Ooh.
Oh,
actually, hold on. Let me hold them up to the regular ones. So this is shout out if you ever hear this. Linus Schmidt from Como Rebbe is the GOAT. He helped us redesign and recolor all of our pips and our Ace of Spades and our Jokers so that you get this now.
Right.
Instead of
oh wow.
You also get, instead of the make playing cards faces, which we never showed pictures of when we did this stuff, you get the beautiful, and in my opinion, I like this color combination better than Peelers V2. If you look at a deck of Peelers V2, you'll notice that the color combination is flipped, and which I did not want to do, but it was a compromise we made as a team. And so I look back and I go, man, if I had the choice, I would go back and I would do this color combination with the gold and the light blue, where I think the light blue and the gold switched places on Peelers V2.
Yeah.
One of my favorite looking ones, I think, is the King of Hearts. Yeah, I don't know why. This color combo, this is Linus's choice, with like the navy blue and the teal and the gold and the salmon. It was just beautiful. And then Linus is behind why our Jokers were good, making them look a little more minimalistic.
And I think that's kind of what a lot of people, and I know for me that liked OPC, is the simplicity.
Yeah.
And also the price. I mean, the price, you can never go wrong with those pricing ever.
And then that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was Linus'
that
idea
one.
to do that with the spade. I love that. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, because that's the Peelers V1 real, the Peelers V1 prototype, and then I found this the other day and I couldn't believe that I have it. Is a still wrapped, sealed Peelers V1 prototype.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
That's so cool.
So like, this is the thing that like goes up on the shelf and goes in the case.
Yeah.
That should go in the case.
Yeah, that
and then
should.
I have a couple of drafts. If you were at the jam, you got to see a draft of and I can grab it if you want me to, in a folder, the box before it was edited, because it was literally Cam in, I think, PowerPoint, placing wood texture over each other
You
Guys,
gotta
we
appreciate
didn't know how to
that
work
grind,
Illustrator.
dude.
We didn't know how to work
That's so cool.
Photoshop.
That's
But
crazy.
you made it work.
Yeah.
Hey,
We
you
absolutely
figure,
did. Awesome.
when you want to do something, you figure it out.
That's what I was
Yes.
gonna say.
Yeah.
That's like proof of it right there.
Yeah, it's like if it doesn't matter if you know something or not, you figure something
No,
out.
if you
and-
want it badly enough, you just will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
it's
know how
like-
to use. I've done a couple decks and I still have no idea what I'm doing with Illustrator, but
Hell.
somehow it works. I don't know. I don't know what I'm
Same thing with
doing,
me.
but
I don't know how to edit videos, but I ask people like Tyler, "Hey, can you give me some pointers on like what to do or what video video editing software I can use?" And he's like, "Yeah, here, try this, try this, try this." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, I'm figuring it out on my own because I'm not technology savvy. I'm almost 40. You know, I'm 37, so I'm a old fart. All I do is lift weights and put them down. That's all I really do.
All right, let me speak to this a little bit because I think this is hilarious. From my university, I will say that Ball State was an awesome school to go to, but I think their video program is outdated in terms of editing because I learned, and as I'm continuing to learn and even put a video together today, how they taught us good shot composition, good scheduling. Like I essentially, this most recent video that I'll be making is how to shoot your cardistry well.
Mhm.
And it's a good, like, it's probably the most time and effort I've put into a video so far, where I didn't just take, because I know how to explain cardistry so normally, most of my tutorials are one take of the actual tutorial, because it's literally just me going, what would I explain to my friend beside me? So that's what I'm doing over the shoulder. But with this one, I went through 5 different tips of how to make your video better, took different edits, took different takes, I guess, did a different thing with the video over. I'm going to put more B-roll over it than I ever would. And it's taken me more than a day to edit, which is usually what it takes. And now I'm looking at it and I'm going, I literally wanted to figure out how to make text pop up on the screen so that when I said bullet points, it would go lighting, camera position, camera angle as I say them. And I was like, I wasn't taught how to do this in school editing. I wasn't taught how to do any of this stuff in editing at my university. So I have to look up a YouTube video, which is what I did. And then I figured it out in 5 minutes. And then
And then you have people like
there you
Tyler
go.
who do what?
editing.
That's how I learned.
Yeah.
That's what I
YouTube's
mean.
a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
no, but then like you have between videos, then you have friends like Tyler that you can ask like, "Hey, can you help me out?" And be like,
Oh,
"Hey."
yeah.
So it's like great when you have people in the whether it's in this
Right.
community or just friends in general, be like, "Hey, let me help you out," and they're willing to help you out. At the end
Yeah,
of the
and
day.
I didn't
That
have
is-
a ton when I started learning video.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I think your videos look fantastic. So
yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
the quality is.
And
I can't-
I choose after 5 p.m. By the way, from your
You're voting on the poll?
I'm voting on the poll 5 p.m.
I think a lot of people voted before noon, Chris. I'm sorry.
I just say that because I get out
I
of work
got
later.
notifications on,
Well-
baby. I'm ready whenever.
Yeah, I
Just-
don't care,
You
so.
post it, I'm there.
You just have that much free time, you just stop editing the wedding video you're working on, Tyler?
Dude, anything to procrastinate it,
Oh
Yeah,
my
but
gosh.
I'll say the quality and the way you teach is great. I can't do a
Yep.
dang thing with cardistry when it comes to cards, and I've tried, and I don't have the patience apparently. But you make me feel like I could do it if I tried.
Well, I think you should watch that. Have you what? Well, thank you. First of all, I'll say that. Thank you. Sorry, I had
Yeah.
like 14 thoughts at one time. One thing that I love doing, I love being an instigator. I love being contrary, just because it's energizing to me for some reason. So when people are like, "I can't learn that," I go, "Yes, you can. I bet you I could teach you something in 30 seconds." And I've taught, I don't know how many people how to do a swing cut and how to do a flicker shot in 30 seconds to 2 minutes just because they're like willing to learn. So I bet you if I saw you in person, Dan, I could teach you anything mild. Well, it depends. I couldn't teach you like the anaconda dribble in 30 seconds.
I can do a dribble. Come on now.
The anaconda?
I haven't done one in a while. When I used to, I could, but I just don't practice that anymore.
So what do you like to do with cards? Is it just like little fidgets? Is it just
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm interviewing
That
you
and
now.
slights. Yeah, thank you. That and I like to practice the slights and stuff like that. Just kind of mess around that way. But usually it's just sitting in traffic doing a Charlie A cut most of the time.
You do that while you drive?
Uh huh. I do.
He's in California. So
I'm
he
in
doesn't
California, where you don't
drive.
go faster
He's
than 5
parked.
miles an hour
Yeah,
on
I
the
was gonna say,
freeway.
he's parked.
I was just kidding because I do it.
Yeah, and
I do
I got
it on the
trainers in the
subway.
car just in case I'm going a little faster, and I don't, I don't have to worry if I drop the cards, But I got like
do
10
what?
decks in my car, little trainers. So if I drop it, it's okay.
Oh, like plastic trainers or like
Yeah.
a deck specifically for faster
no,
drive?
the plastic ones.
Gotcha.
See, I do the same. I do that on the subway here in New York, and then all of a sudden I get the stairs. Like, huh?
You know what? Okay. You know what happens when you do that? So this is something I've created as a resource for you now, Chris, because I literally didn't know what to do, and now there's a little reel on my Instagram, and I love it. It actually did fairly well on YouTube, but it's just this video about what is cardistry,
Yeah.
and so you can literally pull this up when someone's like, "What are you doing? What is that?" You don't even have to explain it to them. Be like, "Here's a video."
Yeah.
Or because I'm more extroverted, I'll be like, "Oh, it's called cardistry. Do you want to learn something?" And they'll be like, "Sure."
Yeah, here in New York we don't do that. Here in New York you don't really look at people.
You don't make eye contact.
You don't make eye contact ever.
Yeah.
You
So
never
this
make
is
eye-
exactly what I'm talking about. You're giving me an imposed societal rule, and I'm going, absolutely, I don't do that, and I'm going to break that rule. I'm going to
Yeah,
say
and
hi
then
to
you're
everyone
gonna
I can.
and then you're gonna get stabbed.
No, that's how I made friends with
We
No,
do
if you do
a
that in
reality
New
show.
York.
Nate,
No, if you
Nate
do that
goes
in New
to New
York.
York.
Nate in New York.
Nate in New York. Oh my god, that'll be
Nate in
hilarious.
New York.
Be like,
I
one
love
day-
Some
New York.
Midwestern folk just enters the big city.
Just
No.
walking through really busy oncoming traffic.
No,
right
it's
next to the crosswalk, and I'm like, oh.
No, it's actually really hilarious. I've said this before. Like New Yorkers, we get a bad rap. People say that New Yorkers are extremely like rude and like they don't give
No,
a
they're
shit.
not.
We're actually very nice people, but if you stop us, if we're going from point A to point B, do not stop us.
I don't have
If
time
we're-
to talk. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we
That's
don't.
all-
But if I'm at a crosswalk and I'm waiting to cross the
Bacon, egg, and
street,
cheese.
and you ask me a question, I'll answer you gladly. And also, the biggest thing I hate when I have tourists stop in the middle of a sidewalk to be like, "Oh my god, let me check my phone" or something. I'm like, I just plow through people. I'm like, nobody's gonna stop and talk to a 6'3", 320-pound guy like myself. Be like, okay, I'm barrel rolling
You
right through you.
6'3"?
Yep, 6'3".
Oh my gosh.
And
Why
then
is everyone... Daniel, how
when
tall
you have-
are you?
when
I
you
think
have a-
everyone's taller than me.
that's
I'm
that's a
5'7".
deck of cards in my hands.
Yeah, dude.
Nuh-uh.
That's
I mean-
this is a regular deck of cards.
Shut up, Dan. Shut up.
No, hold on. Then you want to do a mini. Hold on, I gotta pull this up. Then. Of course, I
Yeah,
had to
Chris. Yeah, his
I have-
hands are ridiculous.
I have ridiculously huge hands.
Chris,
So-
that means you should be really good at this.
I'm not.
He should.
You need to, or no, I guess it's different between being dexterous and just big. Like
That's a
Oliver
mini.
Sogar.
My God, look at that thing.
There's
How
your
wait? Can you
thumbnail.
put it?
There's
Can
the
you put it
thumbnail.
sideways up against your thumb? No. Like lay it sideways and then hold your thumb upright. See if it's as tall as your thumb.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
that's a mini. Yeah, that's
All right, hold on.
basic.
Everyone put their hands with the decks up to the camera
Okay,
so we
here
can
we
get.
I was gonna say,
There we go.
mine's
Mm,
Chris's is enormous.
yeah, I mean, come on.
Dang, Chris. That's just.
Dang, boy.
When they say palm a deck,
You can.
You
Can you-
literally can.
Can you spring like this, Chris? That's a
dribble,
dribble.
and then spring. I have to go more.
See, you because you have a big enough hand, you can do this with greater control. What I want you to do is take. I'm
No, I can't.
teaching now.
No, I can't.
We're doing a tutorial. No. You need to put it back further. So this
He's
top
gonna do
line.
the deep one, right?
Yeah.
The deep. Do the deep.
Oh,
Look how
the
deep
deep.
it is.
Oh, the deep.
You got a lot of control. Yeah.
Yeah, that I could do. I've done that before.
I believe he did a tutorial on that once when he was trying to show you how to do the big one, right?
Me?
That's
right?
what she
Didn't
said.
you do one back in the day? Because I remember
did
you.
one on-
I remember you teaching the deep one.
I did one on what is his name? I don't even know his name. It was some
can't
magician
remember
that
either.
blew up for like a. Here, okay, we can talk about this later, but I really don't like the whole culture we have of like blowing up for a quick second because then you just fizzle and disintegrate. And so I literally don't even remember the name of this magician.
It's no sustainability.
Yes.
Whether it's in this community or in general, like there is no sustainability anymore. Like you're
TikTok
like, It's a
generation.
TikTok generation where like you're big for like 15 seconds and then you're gone and nobody knows who you are.
But that doesn't have to be true.
It
That's
doesn't.
just
No,
what's
no.
no, it
popular.
doesn't.
It's just
Yeah.
what's popular, and for me, it's annoying,
Yeah.
especially like with these going off topic with like TikTok influencers. Like, you're an influencer, but for what reason? What made you that way? especially on
What
TikTok.
is your
Like,
purpose?
yeah,
Yeah.
what is your purpose in life? What do you?
Oh,
and my thing is like,
Jason
what are you
Parker.
giving me?
Entertainment
Male or
for a brief
female?
second.
I mean, it's like, are you giving me any constructive advice in any way, shape, or form besides you dancing or singing on TikTok? Like,
So is Jason Parker How to Spring Cards really long?
That's it.
Title. The ultimate card spring tutorial. It was 2 years ago. I don't even know how we got in contact, but I remember that he was like, "Do you want to teach that on my channel?" I was like, "That'd be dope." So I made a tutorial for him, and like I wonder what he's doing now. Hold on, let me check his most recent. He has 100 and so recognize this. He has 147K on YouTube. His last video was 2 months ago about how he was uprooted from Ukraine.
Whoa.
It's 5K. He has my Ukrainian friends speaking about. Okay, so apparently he's Ukrainian. He's from. Maybe that's why he hasn't been doing stuff. Oh, maybe this is more serious than I thought.
now Nate's like, oh shit. I just.
But no, he is right. There are people that are.
No,
Yeah,
I
In
just-
general,
right?
in
okay, so
general,
then
yeah.
okay. So 11 months ago. Okay. So 7 months ago was his last Ukrainian video, and then he has a whole bunch of AGT reacting videos, starting 11 months ago, which I got 26K, 14K, 12K, 26K. It's just a whole bunch of reacting videos, and he blew up for a little while, and he's got some big. I guess continue to make videos. And the last video he put out was 2 months ago, but I
Okay.
definitely don't remember seeing him. I guess even so to say that like within the card community, I saw him for a little while, even in our space, and then didn't. And there are new things that have popped up. But what I
Yeah.
like, and actually what really started, this is kind of interesting loop back to what I said when we first did OPC, was I said one thing that I think made the first Peelers deck successful and what will continue to make it successful is because you went back to something that you knew already would last. So one thing I said, and I don't want to give myself too much credit because I don't want to say like, oh, I had this genius idea when we made the first deck, because that wasn't necessarily true. But something that makes OPC or makes the Peelers V1, even just the Peelers series, like popular, is if you look back at the community before a whole bunch of custom cards were popular, when people were just using tally hos, wins, Jerry's, you'd go, what is consistent and what do people keep going back to? That was the question that I kept asking, where it was like, what deck, essentially what I started to ask myself as we continued to make decks was, what deck do I pick back up and why? Not what deck is like really popular right now and then I forget about it. So like Gemini Cheetah, for example, some of you don't even know what that is, but like that was a really cool deck I thought of at the time, and then no one used it in their videos later. But it's still one of my, I think, favorite looking decks for cardistry. If you then took like, I think honestly the worst looking one, if I were to go back, I'd probably redo the colors and saturation, but like Squeezers V2 had the best cause and the best box colors, but I think we're a bit too washed and pastel for my liking, to where it didn't really pop enough, and it just kind of looked like a yellow blob on top of a light blue blob. You couldn't really tell that it was lemonade. Whereas on Squeezers V1 you could, and Squeezers so on. It's Grapefruit, I think, it has the best contrast of being able to tell what's on it. But stuff like that, I was like, what do people go back to? People go back to the wind designs, people go back to the circles on it, people go back to the straight lines. And so that's why Fontaine's will do well, because there's something that I noticed even as observing I do have Fontaine's here. Observing cards just in general is and so the long thin line on all your decks are going to make the cards seem longer, just while vertical lines are slimming, and it makes the cardistry look better, just like circles on tally hos. I found my old blue seal. This is the thing I was looking for a while, and I was like, did I lose this? I love these. So even doing something like this,
Yeah.
see how that stays? Like, that's why people will go back to that, and that's why doing something like this looks so cool, because it looks like part of the card is being isolated.
Yeah.
And that's
Insert
why
orbit.
I don't know why more people don't use verts in videos. That doesn't make sense to me why people don't. Also,
Verts,
Tyler,
yeah.
one of the decks that I found in this collection was the old Spring Summer 14, the blue and orange verts that I thought I
Nice.
lost. Those were one of the decks I found again. So I have
Those
those
are
still.
nice.
So this is actually a good segue. I actually had a question coming because we posted on Instagram a question, and it's a good segue for this one. How do you explain cardistry? Like,
I made a video about it.
well,
Just show it up.
if I had the editing skills to be like, hey, here's the video, I would put it right here. No, but if you had to sum it up in, let's say, 20 seconds,
You can do it in less.
or 10 then. However,
Because I've had to a whole bunch
No,
of
of
times.
course,
And
'cause
literally because it's my job now.
Yeah, exactly.
People are like,
That's
"What do you do?"
and the best person to ask. That's why.
I juggle with playing cards. This is the phrase that I think I coined. If you guys have been around for a long time, if you guys remember my indie cardist days, you can still find that YouTube channel. It's got less than 400 subscribers. It's where I first taught some stuff with my mom's Nikon or Sony. It was not a video camera. You can find my Illuminati tutorial. Go leave me a comment on that if you guys ever see that. But this is what I coined a long time ago, which was it's like juggling, yo-yo tricks, and skateboarding, but with cards. That's it.
Okay.
And then what I usually say is, words aren't going to do it justice. Let me show you a video of what it kind of looks like. And
That
then
makes
people
sense.
go, oh.
And that's where your explanation actually makes more sense when they see, because a lot of people when they think juggling, they're thinking, of course, people who juggle. But then when you show them, but then when you start showing them what you're doing, then they're like,
Perfect.
yep.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, but Nate will do it nicer. He'll do a flick and it'll just go around his back and he'll catch it. You know.
So
Of course he's gonna just.
Oh, now if I can drop it. See if I can do it around the back. Nope. I'm in a
was gonna
horrible setup.
My go-to while we watch Nate try to land one of those, my go-to
I'll just keep doing
is I shuffle fancy paper around. Like I just shuffle it, and then
Fancy expensive paper.
And then
Fancy
I just do
expensive paper.
Got it.
and then I just do a Russian shuffle or whatever. Like I just do a drip, like a
A
big.
Russian shuffle. Never heard of this.
That's what I learned it was called. Like when I first started, they call
What
it
is
a
it?
Russian shuffle. Spring.
Spring is a Russian shuffle. What doesn't even shuffle the cards?
Dude, I remember. I feel like I heard that back on like Crash Course from like Illusionist, like 2006.
well, then
That's why.
That's why.
That's
Yep.
why.
And so I'll do one of those,
The
and
knockoff.
and that's just all people want to see anymore. They're just like
It's just
they're
a
cool with
spring of the
that.
cards, right?
A spring or a
For some
dribble
reason, for some reason, a
this?
spring just
Oh, frick.
just blows people away.
Yeah, dude, it is. You
There
can
you
do
go.
the coolest,
Yeah.
other, most technical thing.
See,
Catch cards with your mouth, and they're still gonna be like, "Hey, can you just do that one thing?"
Can you
again?"
do that thing you just did?
Yeah, just
could
do.
do-
Yeah,
just
just
You
do
could
dribble
do
them.
Oliver Sogard's like 6-packet trigger where they all
Yeah.
like just come out of your hand, and then you'll be like,
Yep.
Yep. That's all
do
I
that
want.
again.
Yep.
It is,
See, I've tried cardistry. So, like Dan had with his experience with OPC, funny enough, it was like my first experience with OPC was actually when I first got into this community. Like almost a lot of people, they were watching Chris Ramsey, and I remember watching Chris Ramsey. And I
Yes.
remember him getting some OPC decks, and it was the squeezers in the box, with the orange box, and I was like, "What are those? Let me see if I can get those." Of course, sold out. I did not know anything about this community. I
remember when we
I had
first got
bikes
featured
and
on there,
tally
we were
Hills.
like, Chris
Yeah.
Ramsey's messing with our cards on his
Yeah.
channel.
I was like, I remember having bikes. I remember having,
Studs?
no, never had studs.
Not even studs?
No,
What? Yeah,
I had those.
Yeah, mine are over there somewhere.
See, the guys know these are actually my grandfather's cards from when
yeah.
he was still alive. That I played with him when I was like 7 and 8.
That's
We
cool.
played spades with those, so those are his. But I remember seeing those and I was like, wait, what company is this? And I ended up getting into OPC as well, and then I was like, don't want to spend too much money on this. But then I bought a couple half bricks, like almost everybody does, and you're like, shit, riffle shuffle.
I'm
take my money.
hooked.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
And now, like 400 decks deep, I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. That's how
What
it is.
Kickstarters am I backing this month?
yeah, seriously. I have.
Yeah, what Kickstarter did you back?
I think it's junior year.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh wait.
Fast.
Shameless plug?
Oh, never shameless around here.
Never shameless? It's a shameful always?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's always it's always.
always.
Go full send on the plugs.
Yeah.
100%. Doesn't matter.
So it's
Doesn't matter.
always shameless is what you meant to say, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
Gotcha.
I meant to say. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
We'll go with that.
We're
Anyway,
sneaking
so,
back
hey,
towards the
let's do
intervention.
this.
We're sneaking back towards the intervention.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. No, we're gonna back away from that. Okay. So we'll skip over it.
Problem, Dan.
You leave OPC, and now you are part of XDex.
You don't want to go through the leaving?
Only if you want to.
Absolutely. So I'll share my piece of what I can and what would honor my friend Cam. The original reason to leave OPC was school. I was in a panicked state. I was like, am I really going to finish with video? I kind of wanted to do music. I've had a musical background pretty much my whole life. So I did choir for like 8 years, and I've loved playing music as well as like editing it on like musical software. I used to have this like DJ app where I would like put different songs together, and it's one of the coolest things. I'll send you guys the link later. Was I put the song "Viva La Vida" by Coldplay to, and it's just because my brain like hears these things, to "Make Me Proud" by Drake. Okay, and if you listen, hear me out. I can send you the link later. It's if you look up the song, I named it "Make My Life" because it was like "Long Live Life." I think is "Viva La Vida," and I think you literally don't even have to change. I think you bring one of the songs down a half step and then maybe change the pace or the tempo on one of them slightly and then hit play at the same time, and what happens is ridiculous.
Interesting.
It goes to the same functions each time with the choruses, and then like has the horns and violins in the background while Drake is doing his last bridge, and then like the beat drops as it goes into the
and we get copy stricken right here.
Jeez.
All right, Coldplay.
That's interesting.
So I was freaking out about that. Hey, Dad. I'm on the podcast.
We are.
You guys
want
to guess?
This is how we are.
Oh, you want another twin with me and Tyler? Come here, Dad.
So this is your dad, Tyler.
This is my father, Greg Lex. So
up, guys?
lean down. So this is the camera. This is my dad.
Dad,
Wow.
making a
How you
special
doing?
guest appearance.
Tyler, this is your dad.
Far right.
Where this one?
Uh,
Can you hear
You
this?
said
All?
Tyler. Yeah,
Oh, this is Tyler. Yeah.
that's what I said.
Yes, that's Tyler.
yeah.
Cool.
This is
The only
Chris
one without a beard. Besides, that's when.
Yeah.
and me
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Dan.
Hey, Dan.
We're on the
How you
Cards
doing?
and Beards podcast, Dad. You have anything you'd like to say? Anything you want to plug?
I'd say you and I are missing something significant, as well as Tyler.
Yeah, we are. That's what I think. We're the cards. They're the beards.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Well, this
Yeah,
is cool.
It
good
is.
plug.
Yeah, I only grow a beard in November, if that. It's too itchy. I can't handle the itchiness of it.
Yeah, it does get
It's-
annoying.
And
It
then
does.
my mom calls it No Kiss
No
November.
kiss November. Yeah. And that's not good.
No.
For
His
anybody.
beard's really resonated with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, my
what do you
girlfriend
solve?
actually
What
loves the
problems do you
beard, so I'm
solve?
like,
we're
all
not
right, I'll take
solving
it.
problem, but we are in the middle of an episode.
Okay, sorry.
Love you, Dad.
Love it.
Just to be clear, I am in their basement, not paying rent. So
Yeah, hey.
Hey, it's all good.
Interrupt away.
my dad wants to know if you guys have ever seen Patch Adams.
I know the name.
I know
Patch
the name,
Adams
but
is
no.
a movie of Robin Williams going to become a doctor at
Yes.
doctorate school.
Yes.
Yes.
And my dad had me watch that medical school, doctor school. Do you just want to over the shoulder edit this the whole time? Make sure I'm on track. It's 1998, Christmas it came out of 1998, the year after I was born. Hope that makes you guys all feel old.
Oh my God, I graduated high school in '98. Oh boy.
I was starting high school in '99. No.
I peaked in
Yeah.
'98, so I mean,
How old were you in 98, Tyler?
8.
4? Oh, 8. Wait.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Are you 7 years older than me?
I don't know.
You 30?
I was
you
born
30?
We don't do
90.
math around here.
No.
You should. Anyway, Patch Adams, because my dad won't leave the room until we go over it. He's being really sweet. He thinks that if you guys watch that movie, he thinks of me every time there's Patch Adams, because his whole gimmick is like, why do we have to do things? Literally what I was talking about by being the instigator earlier. Why do we have to do things the conventional way? Why can't we add humor and life to things and like take ourselves a
Yeah.
little less seriously? And it will actually add to our quality of life.
Oh, no, 100%. 100% agree with that.
So,
So
if you
your
ever
dad
watch that
just came
movie,
downstairs to be like, "Hey, you guys see Patch Adams by chance?" Or
no, he came downstairs because disclaimer about my dad, he's like the lightest sleeper on the face of planet Earth. And so like I could open the door. No, okay, maybe not that drastic, but like this is hyperbolic a little bit. But I could like open a door in the basement and he would be like, someone's in the house. And and like I've come home before late or something, and he'll literally just be like either sitting up in bed or like on the couch or just texting me being like, hey, when are you gonna be home? Not because he's like needs me to be home, but just he won't be able to sleep until I come in the house and I'm not making noise.
Yeah.
Any noise.
And I'm the complete opposite. When I'm dead, when I'm asleep, I'm dead to the world.
Out.
I don't see. And the funny thing is, I tell people this all the time. They don't believe me. I do not have dreams.
No, if you
Like-
sleep well enough, you shouldn't have dreams.
Yeah, I
Crap,
all
I dream every night.
Yeah, all I know is I go to sleep, I wake up. That's it.
That's great.
My whole life has been like that.
How many
good
hours
you wake
at a
up.
time?
6 to 8.
That sounds like really healthy sleep then. That sounds great.
Yeah, but I also have sleep apnea, so if I sleep on my back, I end up with migraines.
Team sleep apnea. Where are you?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that fun. No, but yeah.
All right, you want to go back? Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say,
back to
so
the OPC
let's
thing.
rewind.
So you're leaving.
You're leaving.
School.
You're going
Okay.
to school.
So I'm going
Music.
to school. I wanted to change my major, and then I changed my major for a semester, and my grades were starting to slip. I was probably at about a C in most of my classes, and that's when I was like, I don't know if I like OPC anymore. If to be really true to like what I had conversations with about Cam is, I don't want this to be about the money anymore, or I don't. Not anymore. That makes it sound like it was always about that. But I was having a hard time focusing on making it an actual career and prioritizing it as one, because it wasn't making like a living wage, and I had a higher priority. So I was like, and to him, this is one thing that I hope he hears eventually is like, I think that looking back, I was not good at maybe but I was not good at communication, doing things. I started to like, I started to unload things on him where I thought he was maybe picking up some of the slack, and then later found out how much slack he was picking up. And I was like, dude, this is like the burden that I was having you bear. Like, why didn't you tell me? Like, please forgive me. Like, this was not good of me to do. But at that time, I needed to leave mainly because I was like, okay, I'm not having as much fun doing this as I used to. So it's not worth the time that I am having to invest in it, and my grades are slipping. So I prayed about it. I felt like the Lord prompted me to say, I actually remember sitting in the library crying on a phone call with my parents, because I was like, oh, no, sorry, this is later. That we'll get to that. I had a hard conversation with Cam Toner at my kitchen table, and I was like, hey, I don't think I can be with OPC anymore. I need to take this like school thing seriously. End of that portion of the story, I ended up getting the highest GPA I'd had in college and had a 3.9 that semester because all my grades shot back up because I started actually prioritizing the right thing instead of trying to juggle so many things.
Yeah.
But then remember the end of that semester, even though I had a good grade, I was just kind of like, oh, no. This was in the middle of the semester around the same time, because then COVID hit around this time, where I remember praying. I was in the library and I was like in the middle of reading some scripture and having conversations with my parents and praying and being like, God, I am just so confused about what you want me to do, because I really still like cards somewhat, but I don't want it to be this thing that I am doing to chase money, because now it's not fun anymore. But I am needing to leave OPC. So will I still be able to do cards in the future? And just all these questions were going through my mind. And I remember it was God, I feel like, through the words of my dad, where I remember my dad had told me this a lot of times when I was younger, but just to like finish what you start. And like, if you've committed to something, then you have to finish it. He taught me that when I did football. He taught me that when I committed to a sport, where I was like, all right, I have started this thing and I have to finish it. So I literally just remember being in the library, almost like crying on a phone call with my parents, being like really scared of what the future held. And I felt like God literally just said to me, finish what you started, finish what you started, finish what you started. And that's all I heard. And I was like, okay, I got to go back to TCOM. So I switched back into telecommunications after that semester of being in music media production, and then finished my degree, because I was also super trying to avoid Spanish, because I was doing terrible at the classes, and I wasn't allowed to take the upper 2 levels of Spanish online. But then all these circumstances happened where COVID hit, and I was like, well, the exact thing that I left OPC for because of lack of time, I could technically join back now, but I still felt convicted that I shouldn't. So that was weird. Finished out the semester. That was the summer that I talked with Max Young about the Tsukuyomi deck.
Yeah.
And this is the prototype of it that we got printed, where it was still between More Than Paper and Card Cosmos before it was X decks.
Oh, More Than Paper. Wow.
Yeah, More Than Paper is a huge throwback. I have the merch.
Yeah.
I actually have the hat over here still on the wall, and the T-shirt I wear pretty often in videos actually. But this is if you want me to tell the whole story, I can. I feel like Tyler hasn't gotten to say anything, so I feel like we might need to interject him at some point.
Bro, I love listening to the story. Keep going.
Okay.
The world
This
needs
is,
to know.
I want to make sure that I'm full force because I'll tell the whole thing, and it's a really cool story.
I'm just low key doing mantra over here. Don't
All
mind
right.
me.
We'll do
Low key.
For those of you who are listening to the podcast, Tyler is doing a beautiful mantra. He's actually doing the double mantra with one hand right now. I don't know if you guys can see this
With the
on
gold
the YouTube.
Holo Fontaines, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I remember praying about this, and then God being like, finish what you started. I go back into telecommunications, and what's interesting is I started developing the deck with Max. We were like, I don't even know who's going to print it, but it was another one of those times where my idea for cards was reinvigorated because it wasn't for money. It was just for fun. Max and I connected, even though he lives in Germany. I literally put out a story on my More Than Paper page, and I was like, hey, if anybody knows how to design cards, like I want to get back into the space again of creating, but I cannot do Illustrator. Can someone help me? And Max was like, yeah, I potentially could. And I was like, cool. Not knowing until later the extent and degree at which he was awesome at what he did. Like, especially getting into like having designed the lo-fi deck and the Tsukuyomi deck with him. I'm like, dude, why haven't you been a part of the space more often? Like what has prevented you from doing so? And maybe it was someone speaking encouragement into his gifts of being like, dude, you totally can do this. I don't know. But I know that like now he's one of, if not my favorite designer, even if I do have a bias, just because of, or maybe just even the most fun, because to work with him is like, here's an idea I have in my head. I pitch it to him, and then he presents a draft like a week later, and I'm like, you added all the things I wanted and you made it cooler. And I'm like, this is amazing. So we did the Tsukuyomi deck. We were talking about things that we liked. We were talking about how we both were into anime, and so we designed the deck around the theme of Japanese art style and culture and have different anime references throughout the court cards of the deck. Then I think around that time we were still like didn't know if we were going to do Kickstarter or not. And this is when I started my last year of college. I took a 5th year. No, frick. Yes, this was my 5th year. So it was a COVID year. I remember going through the COVID summer, hating it because I'm the most extroverted person ever. So to Chris's point earlier, I literally did send in a group. I did send in a group text to some of my friends from the guys' apartment and girls' apartment that were right beside each other. I was like, man, when I I said the first stranger that I see outside after this COVID thing's done, I'm just gonna kiss straight on the mouth. I'm gonna be like, I've missed you. I don't know you, but I've missed you.
And that's why he just got out of jail.
What?
Wow.
Wow.
Whoa!
Huh.
I mean, if we could just run up and kiss
I was
people,
detained,
I
but I wasn't in. I wasn't in prison. I had a stern talking to, and
got a fine. Pay the fine. Got out of there.
no, I do not condone physical
Kissing
abuse.
random people?
Yes, it was meant to be hyperbolic about how much I missed people. Anyway, so I get through the summer, start my classes. Oh wait, but during the summer, this is kind of like a tangent. I hated Spanish. I had to take Spanish, but because of the way it worked out, I could finally take the upper 2 levels of Spanish online instead of not online. And at the same time, I worked a summer job where all of the guys in the kitchen were from Mexico, except for like a handful of them.
So you
and
learned
they all
faster.
spoke Spanish. So I could practice it verbally at work while learning it online at home. And like,
That's
this will be your Spanish speaking portion of the podcast. So I'll tell a little bit of the story in Spanish. El verano pasado yo trabajo a un restaurante del mariscos, which is seafood in Spanish, y todas las personas en la cocina hablan español y todos son México, y es muy divertido para mí hablar en español con mis amigos, pero es no divertido. Estudié en la clase porque es muy aburrido para mí. So I got to like practice my speaking. What I said was, it was really fun for me to talk with my friends in person. Everyone in the kitchen was from Mexico and spoke Spanish, but it's really boring for me in classes because I just have to study it and it's for a grade. I would rather learn a skill like that to make connections with people instead of someone rate me at how good I am at it.
Like
Right.
spelling
Which is-
everything right and
Right,
like,
which is
yeah.
what I mean, we could dive into a whole thing on like the American education system and how I don't think that the grading is what it should be. That like people, I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So I went through, I learned Spanish, blah blah blah. Made the cards with Max. We didn't get it funded yet. We're still trying to figure out if we were doing a Kickstarter, if we were even going to get them printed. Are they done? What are we going to do with the box? Figuring out all these questions. And then December, I can't remember if it was November or December. I'll have to go back and look at the text if people want an actual date. But it was around winter break of 2020 going into 2021. And this guy named Jay messages me on my More Than Paper account and says, "Hey, I love what you're doing with your page and I love your presence online. We're starting up this thing called XDex, and I was wondering if you could be like help us run the social media for it and we'll pay you." And again, like the Riffle Shuffle offer with Peelers V1, I was like, yes, if you're not kidding.
Right.
If you're not pulling my leg here, absolutely. Turns out Jay's a great guy. And I now work for him and I love working for him. And the evolution of XDex came from, if you guys didn't know, CJ Stingray, or CJ playing cards on Instagram,
Yeah.
was a guy that was around the space for a little while, and people had very polarizing opinions of him. They either really didn't like him or they were great friends with him. And I didn't know him that well. I hadn't heard of him because this is when I had like kind of withdrawn from the card space, except for the things I was doing with Max, or at least in the presence in the community. And they essentially were like, "Hey, can you come? You've done this for OPC before. Can you come and like essentially redesign our Instagram, or like give us like a remodel, give us a rebranding?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to like help you guys make tutorials and make pictures. Like this, literally what I have done for fun the whole time, and now I just get to do it for a job. It's wild." So so essentially there were some things, and I don't want to cover it because I don't want to give it too much attention, but CJ had to be we're no longer working with CJ, and but there's no like malice or anything. It's just he wasn't fitting some of the requirements, and so we had to let him go. And so it fully took swing. I think we were at 730-ish something followers on Instagram when I started. And after a year, we were at close to like 200, or I'm sorry, not 200, 2,800. I'm not sure. And now I think today we hit 3,700.
Awesome.
And got a ton
Congrats.
after. Well, thank you. But what I wanted, I guess what I want to value more is not necessarily the number, but like really after Cardistry Con, just the amount of people I've been able to interact with literally day to day in the DMs and the comments, getting
know
on
what?
podcasts like this.
Well, you know what? I think that also is a testament to what you've done as well, being very active with the
Yes.
XX Instagram. Because Dan and I have spoken about this at length many times, where there are creators, there are custom designers that will put out a deck, show it, be like, "Hey, I'm doing this," get all the accolades, and then they stay radio silent for 6 months, and you don't see
Yeah.
anything from them. But then when they come out with a new deck, all of a sudden people are rushing to get their stuff, but they are silent as hell. Whereas people like yourself, or what we're trying to do, or even Tyler, like we're always on social media. We're a part of the community. We try to show like, yes, we create decks, but we are more about the community and the people rather than let me put out a deck like 5 times a year, or let me put out a deck every 2-3 months and shove it down your throat. Like it's not worth
And
it.
depending, like there are some people that like, I mean, there's probably people that we're not going to name that we could probably think of that are those people. But then there's also people who like, imagine someone who just one day was like, "I want to design a deck of cards," and then it got really popular in the community, and they didn't even know that a community existed around it.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, it got super popular, and a whole bunch of people bought them, but I don't know why or why it was popular. But I guess I'll just keep doing this." So those people, I don't even know if those exist. I'm guessing that there's a possibility that they do. Are like, I didn't even know there was a community to interact with or people that wanted to talk to me about my deck. I've just been putting them out and people bought them.
Yeah.
One thing that I mean, this is I want to reimagine this idea to be more of an encouragement and a request rather than a critique. And I also don't know how much they do in Copenhagen, but anyone worldwide is one of my favorite brands that make cards. I don't know what they do to their cards to make them feel as great as they do, but I just like handling them a lot. And they're pretty minimal. Like Chex is one of my favorite designs ever. Like just the fact that they got a hold of that first is like that's it looks so good in movement. It's a great pattern thing, but I wish that they communicated more with the community. Because when I met Tobias Levin in person at Cardistry Con this year, he was super awesome. Like I got to talk to him before the 5K. I talked to him at the place we met afterwards. And I think this might just be more it's more common in the cardistry community, is that like literally all the people you might meet or potentially your target audience member is a guy who's more introverted, who's between the ages of 13 and 30 depending, and then there's some outliers that go both ways. But that like sits at home with his computer, that listens to music and shuffles cards. He's not a guy who wants to meet a whole bunch of people. He's not a guy who wants a whole lot of attention or even the accolades, but maybe wants to make a living and likes to participate with his small community of people. And so like I this is just an assumption, but I'm like, I wonder if Tobias is that way, because I would love for them to communicate more on their online presences and be able to like, I mean, it energizes me to comment back and forth with people online, but like after a day of being on my screen, even as an extrovert, I get tired and want to go see real people. So if they're already introverted and that's not their style, then like, yeah, it's a request I have, but it's not necessary. And obviously people are like, yeah, but Nate does that. And so maybe Nate's the guy that provides that in the community. And I'm like, good, because I love it. And I want to keep doing it.
And good segue on this one, because I have another question for you. Because I remember you had your jam session a few months ago.
Oh my god!
Which I know you had some. I saw on your Instagram, and people were showing it off. Even Tyler, it looked like an amazing time. Wish I could have been there, because it was just looked like a great time where people actually just had a great time. People were laughing, having a good time. One of the questions was, and I think you probably know who. When I asked this question, who was sent it?
Okay.
And this is for both of you. He asks, "How was it handling antique decks?"
Man, I couldn't possibly guess who this is. Probably Reggie, isn't it? This isn't Reggie. Well, Kevin, I know that you're listening. I'll say hi. It was interesting. I think that one of my favorite part about meeting Kevin was finding out that the U.S. playing card company could have been in my backyard. Excuse me, belched a little bit. But he showed me one of my favorite decks that I've been messing around with. It's a vintage deck. It's somewhere probably on my desk. Is the old Aladdins. Those decks I love. They're not. They're vintage versions of it or classic versions of it. But he showed me I don't remember if it was just a picture of a stamp or a press or a box, but it said Aladdin playing cards, New York and Indianapolis. And apparently, from what he told me, because some people in the Indiana government charged 3 times what they should have for land, the U.S. playing card company went to Cincinnati instead of Indianapolis. But the U.S. playing card company would have almost been in my backyard. And I'm like, oh. So getting to handle antique decks was awesome. I think one of the coolest parts about the stock about it was how long you can do padiddle. Because there's a lot of air cushion finish that's kind of glossy, and you can't really. I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to see if I can stand up and do it because I can't. Oh, it's kind of. Oh, my hands aren't.
You could do that forever though with those cards. Like
I was literally just talking and doing
So
other
chill.
one-hand cuts, and it was just like sticking and staying. Like you might even be able to do padiddle with those, Tyler.
Is he saying you can't do it?
Yes, but there's a specific reason I mentioned it that way. Not the fact that he doesn't have the skill to do it, but because of a physical condition of his, an ailment, if you will.
Yeah, these cards though aren't.
Tell him. I don't want to tell him.
They're no antique deck though.
Tell him about your ailment.
My ailment.
Oh,
This is not really an ailment.
This is
Later
news
when
to
I
us.
think of it. Later.
All right, am I going to share it?
Enlighten us.
He has just drier hands than me.
Oh, dude.
yeah.
The way you do padiddle is I get really clammy hands, and you need a little bit of sweat and stick to make it.
Nate has prime cardistry hands though.
Yeah, I've got dry
Super
as
dry.
sandpaper. Yeah.
I'm cold and dry and dead inside. Nate's full of
I
life
could put
and
lotion.
sweat.
Dude, I could put lotion on my hands, and literally 5 minutes later they're dry. Yep, never.
Yeah. Nope.
That's yeah.
But see, I love that move. I'll never be able to do it. I made it my logo. That's how much I love it. Watching people do it,
Yeah.
But I can't. Yeah, my hands are dry.
Yeah, I'll like watch when I like first went to Nate's house and we jammed out. I was like, I could just tell. Like, I was like, your hands, they're sweaty, aren't they? And he's like, oh yeah.
They're
I was
not
like,
even like sweaty. They're like clammy. 'Cause
yeah,
they're
clammy.
They don't like drip.
Yeah.
They're just
it's not like they're
moist.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah,
dude. And mine are just
sandpaper.
the exact opposite.
And
Yeah.
mine are
No
mine
matter
are
what I
too-
do.
mine are just like you guys. Like mine are completely dry, but it's mostly because I'm also a power lifter. So I'm always
you're grabbing the
Power
bars.
lifter.
yeah yeah I grab, but I also chalk up. So I use a
Yeah.
lot of chalk on my hands. So next thing you know, my hands are bone ashy dry.
You know what I
Yeah.
used to use all the time before I learned how much I was damaging my cards, probably? So I've heard of this thing called fanning powder, which I've never used. And I thought, oh, that's probably just like talcum powder. So I bought baby powder and would always put it on my hands out so I could mess with my cards. And just like ruined and clumped up probably a
LeBron
whole
James
bunch.
it. Get ready to play.
Yeah, LeBron.
I used to always do that, and it would just junk up my cards. But the other funny thing, what was I gonna say about? Oh, so one thing that because this is just kind of a funny little story. When I went to Cardistry Con in 2019, it was the first time that I had been around more than one cardist at a time, or kind of period. Like I had met one other guy in person that did cards. Everyone else I had known from online. And so at Cardistry Con, I didn't know this. I did know this once 2019 rolled around. Every year they do a padiddle contest. And they were like, and I didn't do it in 2019 because I was like, I'm not like one of the best padiddlers in the community. and I'm like, I can do it for like, I've done it for like over a minute, maybe 2 minutes. I think the longest time I've recorded myself, not video, but like timed it, was like over 4 minutes. And I was just like really, really in the zone. And people are like, if you can do it for longer than 15 seconds, you need to be up there. And I'm like, what? You guys can't do padiddle? And it wasn't like it was funny because it was like this is the best way to put it. It was like a homeschooler who had like an NFL professional as his dad. And so like his norm was that he could just throw 50 to 70 yards. And then when he gets to high school and he can throw 50 to 70 yards accurately, he's like, it's not a pride thing. It's literally like, I thought everybody could do this. I'm out of my paradigm. I'm realizing that people aren't like me. So when I get to the convention and they're like, you can padiddle for longer than 15 seconds or 10 even, I'm like, yeah, can't you? That's not one of the harder ones. That's just the one you practice a ton. And they're like, no, we can't do that. So I actually got to participate in the padiddle contest this year at Cardistry Con and got to like use the big cards on stage and do the little cards. And I was like, what? It's like me. Well, what's funny is like 2 guys went up there at first and they're like, they literally prefaced, they were like, only if you're actually really, really good at padiddle should you come up here. Remember that,
I
Tyler?
remember that.
They were like,
did.
and then people were kind of scared. They were like,
I was like, dang, it's gonna take some confidence for anybody to go up.
and
there
so like
now.
one guy came up there that people knew like does it all. I don't even remember who it was, but could do it like all the time. And then so someone was like, Nate, go. And I'm like, I don't think I'm that good at it, but I'll go if I'm really up there. So I went and I totally didn't win either one of the sessions, but
It'd
like
be nerve-wracking doing it in front of
it
300
is,
people.
and especially because you need specific conditions to be able to do it. Like,
Oh,
probably-
yeah.
Hold on, I bet you I can actually get it now. I can feel the clam coming on.
That's the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Clam.
Feel the clam coming on.
Yeah.
It's hard because you have to get it spinning at a specific speed, and it actually can't be too sticky. It's got to be. There we go. That's a. Oh man, and then it slows down all of a sudden. Whatever. You got the point.
Yeah. Have clammy hands. There you go.
Clammy
There you go.
hands.
Clammy hands.
Spit on your hands, guys. Just
Do
it all day.
I don't do that. That's gross. I lick my fingers. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like a
just-
gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Classy. I'm with you.
Classy.
Now, one other question I just thought of, and I was just thinking about this because I was looking at it. Do you think there are new possible trends cardists might be following soon, or is there a trend that you see nowadays that's like, why is this a trend? Or
Can you predict the future, Nate?
No, but I can predict what kids will like. Here's. Hold on. Can you re-ask the question, Chris? Because I had two different answers that were going in separate directions.
No problem. The question is, do you think nowadays cardists will find a possible new trend, or are there trends that you think are like, why is this a thing?
Good question.
Well, holographic decks are gilded. So here's what's happening. Here's what I don't like, and you know what? This is the perfect place to talk about it. I had the thought today, and I was gonna put it on my story, but this is just the perfect place to share and encapsulate it in media. We're watching so what XDex has done is started to buy out people's collections. And so it's a way of kind of dual helping the community by we have individual sellers who can't possibly sell all the cards that they want to sell to liquidate them, because some of these people need cash fast to either pay some bills. I think this is up in the air right now
too. I sold the Pink Panther brick like instantly. Didn't have to deal with anything. Yeah.
So what's helpful is that we'll take collections if people need to liquidate them, but because we're also a source that sells multiple decks at a time, and that's what we're built for, is that you essentially have this hub, and I'll get to the point in a second. You have this hub of people selling their collections to liquidate. We had a kid who offered a lot that I said, hey, we can take your lot off you potentially if these are all sealed, because he's looking to save money for a car and he doesn't need the cards right now. And I'm like, cool. In this way, because of the capital that we have and the business that we have, we can bless other people by allowing them to liquidate their collection for whatever price and bargain we work out. And then we can sell them because we have the structure as the business and as multiple people, not just an individual seller, to advertise those decks and sell them out, because that's what we do anyway. So, and then it's potentially the place. I put this on my story today. I was like, if you are missing something from your collection, check our site. We might have it. Like, essentially, it would be cool to become like the card eBay, because there are decks that I've looked at before. Like, I can't find a Peelers V1. I think I found one listing for Peelers V1 on eBay, but I know that we have multiple in stock in our store that I think is actually under the price of the eBay. I think the listing on eBay was 140 and we sell it for 125, 130. I'd have to check. Regardless, it's around similar price point. We have multiple of them and are a reputable source for selling them. Mm-hmm. The point I was getting to was that I think what we're experiencing is the drop off of the oversaturation culture. Because what happened was Fontaine, anyone, all these people were saying, oh, we're at part of the hype culture right now, and people will just buy decks whenever we sell them. Mm-hmm. So we can make 2 or 3 a month, and people will just buy them out because they think it's rare. And I literally had this idea going through my head today that I know someone has said before, so I would love to give them credit, whoever it is if there are 2,500 of them and all of your friends each have 3, they're not rare anymore.
I feel like that was,
yeah.
I think I've heard Congress say that before.
Yeah,
I think that's Congress.
It was Kevin. It had been Kevin. Yeah.
So the point being, you're having people wake up and realize that the decks they own are not rare anymore, mm-hmm. and they're losing their value, and they are being sold off because you don't care anymore. You've lost your care. And what I think might happen, this might be a prediction trend, is Fontaine starts to experience a little bit of suffrage from not everyone buying their decks because they know they're just going to resell them again, or the people who originally liked them just kind of falling off and growing up and people moving on from cardistry. So one thing that I think is happening is like people are selling, because all of the collections that we're buying are full of Fontaines and full of anyone's and full of other things. And it's like, man, this one didn't pop off. So one thing that I hope to preserve, if I can at all control it, because I'm only but one man and I'm on a team of people, is to make decks with Max and other artists in the future. Because what we were wanting to do is also recruit more artists. So if you design cards and you're listening to this, reach out to us. We want to collaborate. Is to, like, one thing that Max does really well with me is we create decks that I feel like hit a whole bunch of different markets at a time and are not just a recoloring of the back. So one of my favorite decks of Fontaine's that I don't even own is the Chinatown ones, because it feels like it was a thought through idea, is a themed deck. the good version 2 that are like corally orange,
Yeah.
themed deck all the way through. I like those because they're not just, hey, let me throw a color on the back design and then not touch the face cards at all. And so I'd love to hear, and if maybe that's Zach's intention so that it's classic to everyone else who ever picks them up and they're not super random, cool. That's not my style. If that's his intention, then he's got an intention behind it. Otherwise, I view it as a missed opportunity. And a lot of people view it as lazy, but I don't know his intention, so I don't want to claim that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to what you said, it's like, how can something be rare if you're printing 5,000 decks?
Well, I mean, if 5,000 people own one of each or 3 people of each, and then there are still more people vying for it, then it is rare. It's still in high demand. But I know for
People are bricking up. You have so many people always bricking up and always, because they have to get the new gilded version of that deck or something. It's like,
and so what people are doing is making artificial rarity with gilding.
yes.
And that I don't like. There's a difference, I think, and I've talked to my bosses about it, about creating an artificial rarity in a gilding, and then people who are collecting them and just want to have them and want to look at them. And so I was like, when I looked at to be transparent, I'll save this bit of information to honor my boss, but I'm willing to share this in person. But just like, I'll hold on. I want to say this well without. Give me a second.
He's like, hold on, I want to make sure I keep my job.
Yep, pretty much. Like, I want to make sure
Priority
I have a job
number
tomorrow.
1 is keep your job.
100%.
Okay, let me just speak from personal experience, not anything sales wise. I don't want to buy gilding if it's not cool. If it's like gilding just to say it's gilded, I don't care. Personally, the red gilded edition of the Tsukuyomi deck, I have kept picking back up, and it goes well with the red circle on the front. I think it's a good, like, thought through color.
Yeah.
And so and then here's the difference. People are asking for gilded decks of the lo-fi. And we're like, okay, well, we have this whole situation where we didn't gild them the first time, so we'd have to send them back to get gilded, and we don't know if we actually have high enough demand to sell them. And I guess I can say that like, we didn't sell out of the Tsukuyomi gilded or the regular ones. Like, we still have them on our site if you want them, so go buy them. And what I really like about Orbit's deal is he's like, I'm making 20,000 of them. Buy them until they're gone. Come get them. So what I think is interesting is we say and advertise, hey, we're doing a limited print run of 2,000, but like, we're not even going to sell all of them, and they'll still be available later. Which, like, the damage of artificial rarity over time is kind of what we're seeing with Fontaine, where people will just sell them later instead of going, oh, frick, where's a Peeler V1 deck that I can get my hands on? Because you can't. And the people who are selling them bought a whole bunch of them at the beginning just because that's what they did, period.
Yep.
And they withheld their value. They're cool in the box. They're like in the crate. Because you took the time to put more design into them later, Peeler's V2 is still even worth picking up because it's the ones where they're finally holding bananas. It's like
That's my favorite OPC deck, by the way.
Peeler's V2.
Yeah, it was.
Nice.
Great color.
This
And
one is actually a rare deck because Frankie Morales isn't even in the space anymore, but it is a honeycomb Saturns that you literally had to buy a brick of the red ones to get the honeycomb version. It's got a gray line, a yellow back, and probably a lot of people haven't even seen these. And they've got yellow minimalized.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And so, like, I really like these. I thought I lost them, but this would actually be what I would consider a rare deck. I don't know how many were printed. Frankie isn't in the space anymore. He had a bad reputation from the red Kickstarter, but like, this is an actual rare deck, not these. These were advertised as rare.
Yeah.
But I could find them pretty easily now.
And I think with gilding, like, it makes sense if it makes sense for the deck. Like your lo-fi one, I don't think gilding makes sense for that deck. Like Fontaine's, I don't think need to be gilded because it doesn't make sense to me.
Unless there's a theme around it, and then do it tastefully.
Yeah. For example, like if Fontaine did like the Pink Panther deck, but then because it was a good theme, I thought it was great with the core cards, and if they would have gilded it pink, would make sense.
Here, let me just throw this out. Have you seen the Gemini gildings where it's like jeweled?
The speckled almost,
Yeah.
If
you did a pink version of that on the Pink Panthers, it would look like the Pink Panther diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And that makes sense.
That's what I mean. And it takes one extra step.
Yeah, that'll make sense. But just gilding for gilding's sake, I think that's like, I think Dan and I've even spoken to this, like, it's becoming the new thing. Like, it's no longer just like, hey, like, especially on Kickstarter, it's like, hey, you have tiers of like 1, 3, 6, 12, 24. Then you have a half brick box stickers. And guess what? We also have gilding. Why not? It's there.
I just
It
think,
was
like,
yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
Well, see, like what I did with my gilding is I said, hey, I'm making as many as y'all back. I'm not making 100 and capping it there. I sold 75, so I made 80 just to have that overflow, and that's it.
Right, you could have even done 100, and that would have been a good number.
Yeah.
And Tyler's using one of them right now, by the way.
I know.
It is
Is
a
he?
pretty good gilding.
So,
It's
and you
See
know,
it?
Tyler using a deck.
handles well.
Tyler using a deck of cards makes me think. Wait, we have to do an honorary deck check, as we do with all our podcasts.
Oh, we haven't done a deck check.
No, we have not. You know, we
I've
always do a
used-
deck check.
I've used 4 decks this entire episode. I just
Yeah,
keep,
I know. I've been watching.
Oh, wait. I've used like 10. Hold on.
Yeah.
Well,
I've used one.
So yeah, I'm using sophomore edition,
The gilded.
The
gilded.
gilded one.
Ooh, the pretty gilded.
I mean, the blue is very pretty.
Works
Well,
well.
this isn't even the right deck. Hold on.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
beautiful.
Nice.
Love it.
Found it.
Also,
I grabbed the wrong
I'm
box.
using this. My buddy Cam printed these. I met him at CardistryCon. These are
Cam,
just
you
from
selding.
NPC. Yep. These are.
See, I love that red. That red's a very nice red.
That's beautiful.
that's a nice.
Yeah.
And
I like this a lot.
it's gilded, but it almost also looks matte at the same time. It almost looks like gilded matte
that.
red. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good red.
That's
And it works with the deck.
Uh-huh.
I think it makes the back design pop.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
If you saw some of the pictures I did, I got some really cool pictures of me doing a thumb fan where you could like barely see the edge like this and then the top red dot. And I was like, that looks so good.
Yeah.
That does. And for those of you listening, that was actually the Tsukuyomi red gilded deck that is available on XDecks right now.
Chris, thank you for calling it the Tsukuyomi deck instead of the Kisetsu deck because multiple decks are under the Kisetsu branch. The Tsukuyomi and the Lo-Fi are both under Kisetsu.
See?
I just won't say it because I'll say it incorrectly.
We're gonna do some phonics lessons.
Well,
on the
I
podcast, ladies
heard
and gentlemen.
I heard Nate say it enough times, so I was like in my head, I'm like, okay, let me say it correctly.
All
I
right,
don't
say
know. How to
this.
fuck it up.
Say Su,
Sue.
Ku,
Ku.
Yo,
Yo.
me,
Me.
Tsukuyomi.
Tsukuyomi.
You know what? You know what just ran through my head right
There
now?
you go. Huh.
Right through my head. Friends, like, je m'appelle, je m'appelle, Boo.
Yeah.
There's a guy who's he's a ventriloquist that our family knows. He's a Christian ventriloquist, and he does this bit where the puppet can't say. He's like, "What's the word for the?" Or he's the puppet can't say ventriloquist at first. He goes, "Yeah, ventriculist. That's what I said." And he's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, ventriculist." He's like, "Ventriloquist," and they go They go back and forth with each other, and so then he's like, "I don't know. It's just hard to say. Like the kitchen floor." And everyone's like, "What?" He's like, and then someone shouts out, "Linoleum?" He's like, "Yeah, that." He's like, "You can't say linoleum." And so then they go back and forth, no, li, and he's like, "Linoleum, ventriloquist." And I'm like, ah.
So Dan, what have you been using? By the
Wow,
way, oh,
I've
yeah,
been playing with my deck. Sophomore year.
all PG here, guys. All PG.
Yeah, it's my deck and I'm playing with it.
PG?
13.
How'd you know my dad's nickname?
Good.
Pastor Greg.
Makes
Used to
sense.
call-
Makes sense.
A bunch of my friends used to come over and be like, "All right, guys, let's keep it PG."
What are you using, Chris?
I'm actually using the Awesome deck by Studio K.
Ah, yes.
This is actually this was on Kickstarter a little bit ago. I don't know if you know this one, Nate.
I have
Studio
seen this.
Yeah, so Studio K partnered with the kids at Beacon Children's Hospital. I think this is actually in Indiana. And
That's so cool.
all the he had 54 kids, gave them each a card to saying, here's a card. What would you draw? So each kid drew a card. So each card is individual.
That's awesome.
Now
And then-
that is a deck.
So what he did was he actually had all the kids as one of the ad cards all the kids signed a card and he printed it in this deck. Since this deck funded, he made sure all the kids got decks as well so that they could carry their art with them in the hospital and out of the hospital.
Yeah.
So when I saw this on Kickstarter, I was like, you know what? I am backing it. It's a great deck. It had a great purpose. I like the artwork. And it's like they gave them like, hey, can you do something like this with the writer back? And they come up with that.
So looking at that, back when we did Squeezers V2, we wanted to potentially go visit hospitals of people suffering from, I want to say leukemia, and I'm going to feel really bad if I get it wrong. I think it's leukemia, right? Alex's Lemonade Stand, Foundation for Leukemia.
I think so.
I think so.
I think that's it. If I'm wrong, excuse me. Children who are suffering from a disease, period, is who we're trying to show compassion to. One thing that I, after watching Patch Adams' callback, was thinking, how do we get this back? Or how do we get back to that portion where I could literally, because I do this in person in general, if there's anybody who has ins with different hospitals where I could like literally go in and teach, like I got to do a cardistry a week after the jam. I got to do a cardistry workshop at a local game shop that does like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and Magic.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, if I could do this every weekend, I'll do my X-Dex main, be with social media, make the videos for YouTube and Instagram and whatever, Monday through Friday, and then like go visit hospitals or do cardistry workshops on the weekend where I could literally like bring in, like one thing that I did for the jam and for the workshop was I have a whole bunch of cards that I've collected over the years that I do not want anymore, that are like either the cut corners casino ones, or I've been gifted them and I don't know, just even decks when I was just like picking them up because I thought it was a deck of cards and blah blah blah. So then I gave a whole bunch out at the jams, and one thing that I loved about the jam, kind of talk about that again, is the idea that it wasn't advertised like a cardistry con where it's like, if you already do this, come and we're making it for you. It was, even if you don't know how to do this, come and we'll teach you. And so literally a kid came up where his mom was like working at the venue at one of like the food vendors, and he like literally came up and started talking with us and started like learning. And that's one of my favorite pictures, if you look on the Instagram, is I'm literally teaching swing cuts to this little African American boy who's like
I remember seeing that.
And I'm like, one I want to thank Tyler for capturing that, because that is like my favorite picture I think I've ever had taken of me doing cardistry ever, because that literally is like and it literally has AMP in the background. I don't know if you intentionally did that, but definitely the composition skills were there, where I was like, this is what I want to show people. This is what I want to go show my boss, of like, this is what I think I'm capable of that I didn't even know I was capable of 2 years ago when I wasn't given the position and the role to do so. Of like, hey, X-Dex, the thing that's going to set us apart from just a resale company or our own deck making company is the fact that I teach and have such a presence in the community, where I'm like, hey, I really think that this activity is fun. I don't want it. The thing I like about it, other than magic, is that I'm like, this is what I tell people all the time, because they always think it's magic. And I go, and I'll reveal this. So if you're watching on YouTube or whatever, then sorry, I'm revealing magic on stream, but whatever. So if you take this and you do a card palm and make a card disappear, you're literally doing this, but just with your hand covering it. And once you figure out how to do it, the gimmick's lost. But if you do a flicker shot in front of somebody and then show them exactly how to do it, the thing is not lost. In fact, it increases and grows for that like spectator, because now they get to do the cool thing, or they've seen the cool thing and now they get to do it with you. Mm-hmm. So it's like bringing people alongside with you instead of saying, here's all the secrets I have to keep from you to be cool.
Yeah.
It's you almost gain a more appreciation for cardistry the more you get to know it.
Oh, for sure.
It's kind of like, you're like, oh, I when I first got into it, it felt like it was I couldn't appreciate some of the stuff that I would see. And then as you like,
of course,
you learn the rev cut, or you learn just anything,
how difficult
like,
some of these things are.
Yeah, you're just like, wow. And because everybody just makes it look so easy on Instagram. So it's like, of course, they're posting their highlights of like double, quadruple, whatever. And it's like, dang. But then,
and even for you, Tyler, it's like I remember this week when I saw on your stories, like you finally did the fan,
the riffle fan,
and then I remember you were like looking at it, and you were like, I remember on your video, you're like, your mouth was just shocked. You're like, I actually did this,
dude.
See, and the thing I like about what Tyler's been doing is he shows all sides of it. the
Yeah.
failures of the learning and the dropping the cards and like not being afraid of it.
No.
I
Yeah.
think
You know?
that I actually want to go back to that because Tyler, I think you've inspired me to want to potentially put out more content like that. Because I remember that I didn't do it as often as you do now, but I remember a More Than Paper post a long time ago where I think I literally took all the outtakes of like me dropping cards from a highlight reel and was like,
Yeah.
this is also what it looks like.
I remember
And-
that.
And I used to, and more than anything, I used to make posts saying like, this isn't easy. Like, keep learning, doing whatever. These are the struggles I've had this week, and just being real with people. And it resonated with a lot more people. So I would say
Yeah.
absolutely keep that up.
Yeah, definitely. It's
It
not
resonates
a
with
lot of
more
people show it.
Yeah, and it resonates
No,
with it
'Cause
resonates
that's not
with the
what
whole
our
community.
culture celebrates.
No.
Yeah.
And with this community, I mean, whether it's younger kids or even middle age, whatever. I mean, myself included. It's like seeing people that are like younger than me that have more dexterity and whatnot and drop cards. It's like, hey, that makes me relate to them more. It makes me want to be like, hey, let me learn.
Right.
Ooh,
It's-
let me say something a little profound because I was talking about this with someone else lately as I was encouraging people. I'm in some of like young adults groups around church and stuff, and I remember always encouraging people with this, encouraging people to be vulnerable with one another. When was the last time you related to someone based on all your accolades? Almost never. That
Yeah.
never brings you as close as to like, if you were to be like, I also was like the line leader in kindergarten every day. Oh my gosh. Whereas if you were to be like, yeah, my mom also died last year. My actual mom didn't, but like that's a heavier thing where like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you can relate to grief. You can relate to like
Yep.
family dynamic shifting. There's a lot more and it's comforting to people. And man, Tyler, one of the things I love about your fresh outlook being a new work artist is stuff that I would just see as like dropped cards that you've now named floor display is probably one of my
Yeah.
favorite things.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It is, and it's awesome, and it seems to be that people like it, and it's good
And
to see.
also, I think it's also doing like floor displays, like Tyler's saying, but with decks of cards that people would never normally open or
Yeah.
use, or be like, let me not use those Fontaines; they're so nice, or let me not use a gilded deck; those should not be on the floor. And Tyler's like, you know what? Screw it, they're cards. I'm going to use them. I bought them to use, so why not?
There used to
Yeah.
be a profile called Use Your Cards that I think was run by, I'm going to get his name wrong.
Oh,
Who's the wave guy? You know who I'm talking about? The guy who'll do like the Vi fan and then go,
God, I can't remember.
why can't I think of it? John Stessel.
Yes.
I didn't even have to look it up. John Stessel, the Wave Gang. So he would always do that, and he used to. I think he was the one running an account called Use Your Cards, and it would be like, and I've actually started readopting that mantra, pun intended, by like opening the deck of. Tyler gifted me a black holographic Fontaine deck, and I opened them the other day, and I was like, these are so fun. Oh my gosh, remember when I was allowed to like play with the cards that I own and bought? They were gifted to me or other things like that. So I'm actually hesitant, but I think I will. I got a really good deal on a red dot from anyone worldwide, and I think I'm going to open it and play with it.
I'm excited.
I mean, honestly, you should. My thing is like, if I'm like me personally, I'm the type of person like I'm spending my hard-earned money on something. I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna enjoy it to its full capacity because I paid for it. I would like to enjoy it to its full capacity.
But then there's also the difference of
The collectors.
well,
There's-
or if you're trying to be a good steward and invest, because I remember my parents looking at me crazy when one Christmas I asked for a brick of red Saturns, and they're like, that's like your whole Christmas budget. So like if you want that from us, that's the only thing you're getting. And because they were on Kickstarter, they didn't even get fulfilled until March the next year. So they literally packaged in a gift box a cinder block that said, your other brick is on the way, but Merry Christmas. And I was like, my mom's clever. Like I loved it. And I'm like, yeah, that's really the thing I want. I ended up buying, I kid you not, when Blue Fontaines came out on Kickstarter, it was the first Fontaine deck that was on Kickstarter. I bought 8 of them for I think $10 a piece. So I paid $80 for 8 decks. And when
80
they
per.
and now they're 80 per deck. So I literally
Yeah.
made it back in selling one deck. But my parents were like, are these really going to appreciate in value like that? And are you really going to be able to resell them? And then one day, I think I needed to pay some interest on my student loans or something. And they're like, you need $200 by like tomorrow. And I was like, well, I'm either gonna have to take a loan from you guys, or have to like borrow the money or something. And then I went on my More Than Paper page and sold like 2 decks of cards on my story in like 20 minutes, and it was like, hey guys, I have 200 in my bank account now, and they're like,
How?
how did you just liquidate your assets like that? And then I started becoming familiar with like business terms, and I'm like, oh, I really am pretty entrepreneurial, aren't I? And I had no idea.
Well, it makes complete sense, honestly.
Yeah.
When it's the investment side of it, the collector side of it, or the most of the people are like the user side of it. I have a few decks in my collection that are like sealed and I'm not touching, and they're worth a pretty penny. Like I have the If an Octopus Kapam, the V2 fully sealed with the book and the sleeve and everything. Like I have that whole set. I don't touch it because I know that will appreciate in value. But all my other stuff, I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, if someone gifts me a deck of cards and I know it's $70, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna open them.
I'm opening it.
Yeah, but you know what? I got an orbit. I have all the orbits. There's no way in heck I'm opening V1 or V2. Nope, not gonna happen. Sorry.
I was just thinking, what? Yeah. So that kind of answers my next question. What would be one deck that's like out there that you don't currently have that you want that you wouldn't open?
Red Fontaines.
Well, I've got a random one.
Go.
Yeah.
King's Wild, Eric Church, and for Sand deck. Because I have all the other ones, but I don't have that one, and that's the one he's sold the very little of. Because Eric Church is one of my favorite country singers. So.
All right, I need to make a note of that.
See, I don't have one. I don't. Everybody keeps asking me what's like the white whale that I always want. I'm like, I don't have one. I'm not that type of collector. Like I'm not one to ask for or want a very expensive deck or look for something. I'm just like, whatever.
We're gonna be so modest.
No, I grew up. No, because I grew up in a very low income family. So it's like to have something nice. Like I barely spend on myself in general. Like the clothes that I wear, I'm wearing them till they're basically torn and tattered. I am not.
Also,
buying
is that Unstable Unicorn shirt?
No, it's a tea turtle shirt. Strength.
The character on it looks like it's from a game called Here to Slay.
Ah,
You ever played that?
No, never played that one.
Good game.
No, but like I said, like I don't pay much like for myself. So like if I do buy something for myself, I would like to enjoy it. So that's why, like me, like I pay for cards, I'm gonna enjoy it. I pay for Magic the Gathering cards, I'm gonna play the game. I'm buying them to
In your
use.
800 binders.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Then
Chris, we should play Yu-Gi-Oh sometime.
I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yet.
Oh.
Wait till I visit NYC. I'll bring my Speed Duel box with me. We'll play.
I'll bring my Magic the Gathering cards.
You can teach me.
Hybrid game.
So, Tyler, I want the question rephrased because I named you the one that I would keep sealed just because that's like a little piece of history. And the first like custom deck I probably bought and funded was Blue Fontaine. So Red Fontaine would just be cool to have to be like, actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me rephrase it because I don't even think a Red Fontaine would be as special sealed as a Blue Fontaine sealed because that's when I started. And also, if you had phrased it the other way, or phrased it a different way, one that you are still looking for and want that you don't want to pay the money for but want to use are the original checkerboards with the red square. I want to play with those. I love that coloration of the deck. Those are my favorite colors, like black, white, and red. So essentially my favorite colors are black, white, sapphire blue, and ruby red. And I mean that in the way that they're like, think of like a Hurt Your Eyes crimson and like this kind of blue, kind of like just even like the outline of the light blue.
Okay.
Do you know what cobalt blue is?
Yes.
I'm thinking like when you look at it in public, I've seen women usually with red hair will wear like this bright, vibrant blue dress with like the same color earrings. I know maybe I've seen a famous actress in an outfit like that or something, but I can distinctly picture like someone. It's almost like, what's the X-Men character that's like blue?
Mystique.
Mystique. I don't know how to describe that blue. It's either like a royal blue,
that's
cobalt
red-haired and blue person.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, essentially, I know I've seen that look before somewhere, but that's what I mean. Like bright I call it hurt your eyes blue because I don't know how accurately to describe
Danny's
it.
face.
This
like,
blue?
"This?"
No,
That's close though. That's close.
like let me grab the Blue
This
Fontaines.
blue?
It's the Blue Fontaine blue.
Yeah, that was funny. I think I'd probably go with
This blue?
if I were to open a deck, I think it would be honestly this blue. This blue slaps.
That blue
It
is really
does.
nice.
It does
This
kind of
blue
slap.
slaps.
It's a banger.
I think I'm here for the Orbit V4s. I think that's
It's
what I
like
would
this.
want.
It looks a little darker on camera,
Oh
but
yeah, it does look a little darker.
it's like
Yeah.
very It's like if you turned up the saturation all the way on blue.
Yeah.
Orbit V4?
Isn't that
That's the
black?
one.
What? No, he was just talking about. He said
Yeah,
Orbit
that's the one
V4.
I would get if I were to get and open it. Like if I were just to get it, that would
Have
be
you-
like my.
I've beaten
checkered
this one
red.
up pretty.
Did you get to mess with mine?
No, I don't think I've messed with yours.
I
Well,
hope
you
we're still
can if
talking
you
about
wanna.
decks of
Whoa, whoa,
cards.
The nice Orbit 4. That's,
Sorry, Nate. This is where we go.
that's what I.
Orbit
That's
Tyler,
what
if you would ever like to play with the orb. Oh, I'm peeking, aren't I?
the Orb 4.
If you would like to test drive the Orbit V4 playing cards, Tyler, I have a deck with your name on it at my house.
I think I've purposely not taken that one out because I know I would really want it even more after I've. Like when you go to Nate's house and you look at his collection, you're like, oh, there's literally every deck here that I would want, and like full collections. And I'm just like, if I get that out, I know I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get on eBay. I'm gonna overpay for that. Like I don't need it, so I just stick to whatever's on top.
Should I just? I'm debating taking the tour over there.
It's we filmed that one video with your collection, so it just
I know, I'm still
released.
editing
I'm just gonna
that.
hype that up.
Yeah.
We filmed
wait
it in
for
all
that.
4K, so it might be a little heavy of a
So
project file.
Oh, that'll be fun to see in 4K.
Dude, his
I'll have to-
collection is.
We need to
beautiful.
do we need to do like a full. So Tyler and I talked through some video ideas, and I also total tangent because I just remembered this. Tyler, I did remember to ask the XDex team if you could come to Missouri with me.
Oh, nice.
Are you? I'm asking if my friend Andrew can come with me this time. We'll see what they say. But I told them, and we'll probably talk to them. I'll be there the 12th through the whatever that week is, and I'll be like, hey, so my friend Tyler, when can we come make some content? Because Tyler and I were talking about taking my deck collection and going through like the top 3, top 5, top 10 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then being like, these are what they're used for. So the video that will be coming out, that this is an exclusive, letting you know this will come out at some point. I think we did top 5 cardistry decks in my collection, and I told people what they were used for. And so Peeler's V1 is in there. I'll say one more. I feel like I might ruin the video otherwise.
There's some
and then-
verts. We won't say.
I was gonna say one of the
Yeah.
verse decks. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Verts in there. Yep.
Good
This
call.
is, and this is why they are called twins.
Twin telepathy.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm all for anything the two of you can collab and make.
It would be masterpieces nonetheless.
Yeah.
Content
Yeah.
galore.
It is.
So Tyler, I had a quick question for you. When you're doing, the weddings and the racing and stuff, do the people look at you with the deck of cards and question you why you do you have those out with you on the downtime, or do people look at you weird, or like what do they do?
It's not necessarily a weird thing. It's thankfully they've seen something with them, and so a lot of times it's that I take those green sport knocks with me,
Yeah.
and so they're like, "Oh, is that what you do those transitions with, or whatever?" Like that was the last conversation I had at a race a couple weeks ago, and then at the wedding I was just at, it is like you almost expected to have cards, but I'm
Okay.
always met with disappointment because I say I don't do magic tricks. And so they're like, "Oh, that's so cool, you do." I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't do any magic, sorry." And like, could I do like a trick? Yes, but like then I just feel like you have to have like a routine. And then it's
Yep.
like I'm just not there yet. I'm not there.
And you don't have to be. I think that's one of the cool things coming out of this like transition in cardistry is a lot of people started doing cardistry together. And I will say, if you are wanting to learn magic and sleight of hand, learn cardistry as well, because from what I've noticed in my sleight of hand stuff, just you being aware of like a deck's weight and how a deck handles in general and how it looks natural when it falls, you'll have a lot of ideas and good dexterity for making your sleight of hand look really clean.
That's the truth. The one place you do get weird looks is when I pull out a deck on a plane. That's
Yes.
when people get a little
Yeah.
bit like,
Yeah.
I remember when I went to Vegas, I brought a jet setter deck because I mean it's kind of what you do, right?
Yeah, why not?
And,
That's what you're supposed to
and
do.
Yeah, and this 6-year-old girl was sitting next to me, and I'm just sitting there, and I just feel her eyes burning me.
You could,
And
I
so
mean,
yeah, so I showed her some stuff and whatnot, and then I gave her the deck when we were done, with her mom's permission, of course. But that was kind of cool.
Hold on. One,
Yeah.
awesome that you gave the deck away.
Yeah.
I love doing that, and it leaves. It's a really cool, like, this is the first time I've ever experienced something like this. Here's a token of you experiencing it for the first time. Now go learn. It's kind of like a pass it on kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. That's why I actually got into Yu-Gi-Oh, Chris. That's another story. Someone invited me to play it. I learned it at a game shop, and then when I went to go buy a structure deck to like start myself, the guy behind the counter like handed me sleeves, a structure deck in a box, and was like, "Keep it." And I was like, "Why?" And he was like,
Yeah.
"We don't get a lot of new players in here all the time." And I'm like, "This has solidified it. I'm in. Like I'm so down. I am down." So the thing that's cool about the thing I was noticing, Dan, that you were describing, is it sounds like from, I don't know about you, Chris, and I'm not exactly sure about Tyler, but that it's not something that you seek out. It is something that you either try to avoid and deal with when necessary. Whereas on my side, I'm like, I'm going to bring a deck of cards everywhere, and people are going to ask about it, and I'll get to talk about it.
Yep. I mean, I have one with me at all times.
Same.
When I walk to the bank or run errands for work, I'm doing something with it, but I don't seek out to show people stuff. That's
I
not
purposely
me.
take my anyone checkers because they're black and have the yellow dot one or the yellow square
The
one.
racetrack.
Yeah, they're as low key when like I've got those. I like taking or like black Fontaines or the black in like the midnight anyone checkers, like stuff that's just relatively low profile. I don't bust out like rainbows or gilded decks, like because I'm just like if it flashes, I don't.
You don't want to pay. You don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't want to put more attention to yourself. I get
I
you.
know.
I'm the
Yeah,
same
like,
exact
if
way.
it could be matte black and not shiny, like that's what I want. But when I'm at home or like when I'm like with people that know I deck around, I'm like flash me up.
Deck around. That's hilarious.
Yep. Now let me ask.
Yeah.
Now let
I
me
didn't
ask.
even think about. I don't know why I didn't think about that. On the pod, sorry, I'm just realizing that the podcast name was probably a play off of that, but because it had the "in" after it, it didn't click with me. Because the phrase,
Yeah.
we'll leave
There
it
you
at
go.
that. Oh wait, what's the audience level on this? I feel like you guys already swore earlier. It's not.
Yeah, very good.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
There's
it's-
an E next to the episode. We're fine.
Yeah.
yeah. No, but my question to you guys, because we all
Hold on a
carry.
second. Hold on a second. Oh, keep going.
We'll say something and then he'll come in and everything. We understand that he has more people behind him. Probably Dad coming in. Probably Patch Adams again.
Yeah.
Make
Patch
sure we
Adams.
watch. Make sure we
See if
watch.
there's another movie you guys have seen
Yeah.
before.
Okay. Yeah, love you. Night.
Rufio. No.
We're sorry. We have our family's it's a happy mess, but it's a mess. Where I have a friend living with me from college who is transitioning because he had a job near where I lived, and so he's like living in like the room over like next to me in the basement. My brother just got back home from a summer training for his job. He just graduated in the spring, was at a summer training for his job all summer, just got back this week. So like 6 different people are in the home with 2 dogs, and my mom's car crapped out. So my dad was making sure that I could take her and my sister to school in the morning because she's an athletic secretary and my sister goes to the high school that she works at. So that he was making sure that they had a ride, and it was like literally like wiping the sleep out of his eyes. So I'm guessing that he must have just remembered it and woke up and like came down here, was like, "Oh, by the way, can you take your mom and your sister to school?" And I was like, "Yes."
No, I was gonna. That's actually hilarious. But the one thing I was gonna ask is, I'm like, we were just saying, we all carry a deck of cards with us no matter where we go. We're always fidgeting. We're doing something. See, I've noticed recently, and for a while now, that I always do like a little, like a sort of like a deck check or stock check. Like I'll take out a few decks of cards and I'm like, which deck do I want to take with me today? Which one feels right? Like, and then, like I'll do springs. I'll do like dribbles, springs. I'll do fans and everything. I'm like, which deck am I feeling today? But then you get stuck. You're like, but I want to take out this one today because then you start getting like, wait, it's a good day to do these type of pictures. But then it's like, wait, but I really want to use this deck. But then I have to use this deck, and it's like,
That's hilarious.
because I've noticed that, like I've been doing that a lot. I'm like, okay, because I have like right here next to my computer, I'm like, I have a wall of like most of my Kickstarters that I've backed, and I like to use those the most. And I'm like, which one am I gonna use today?
Dude, you should see when I pack for a trip. I can't. I'm just sitting there.
Oh,
like,
I go
you're
to
allowed 6. Like,
so I go to whenever I go to Texas to go see my kids, like I always take at least 4 to 5 decks of cards with me, and I'm only staying for like 4 days. So it's like,
Guys, I brought 8 or 9 decks on the show.
yeah, they do just kind of keep accumulating.
I want to
Yeah.
hear this from you guys because I think this is. I feel like you already know my answer, and I can still tell it at the end for those who are unfamiliar to me. But I want to hear what your thought process is and what goes through your mind when you're picking out a deck. What are the questions you ask?
I look at I have about 30 decks right here on my desk, and those are the ones I'm currently using, right?
The ones
So
that are in
I'll-
circulation.
Right. So I look at those and I go, okay, who have I been playing with a lot lately? And it's been a lot of Luke Wadey. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm not feeling the graphic designy day today, And so then I go over there to just like the bicycles, the orbits, the jet set, there's the normal stuff and whatever just says my name.
Yeah.
it's
That's
like my
really
mood.
it.
Like what's my mood like today? That's my question.
Yeah.
So like
like-
mood rings.
Yeah.
Who wants to come outside to play
Which
today?
color am I today? Am I a purple, a red, a blue? But then it's like,
Kinda.
but then when I do that, I do stuff like this. Like I have, these guys know, I have on my coffee table, which is literally right next to me because I live in a studio apartment in Manhattan, which is freaking small. On my coffee table, I have a box covered in stickers,
That's
of
very
course.
cool.
But inside the box,
Boom.
all
That's
my
lovely.
I call this my rainbow bikes. This is technically a wine box, so you can see here these are supposed to be the little utensils for wine, the wine key and stuff like that. I just took everything out and it fits 19 decks of cards perfectly. So these are like
That
my
is
bike
so
decks.
cool.
I love, yeah. I mean, really lately I've just been using the
Yeah.
ledger turners because I've been practicing a couple magic methods, not real tricks, and
Yeah.
this deck has just been
Gold seals.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie, the purple bikes are my favorite right now.
we need more purple decks in the world.
I do
fine.
like. I did like the purple series that came out a lot from anyone.
Yeah,
Those are really nice.
I mean the purple chilies that just got funded on Kickstarter from Beyond Playing Cards.
I saw those.
we just need more purple.
Love it. I cannot wait because I need that series.
Make more purple.
Having that series, I need that. I need those decks because it's like I want to fill that out.
I love when designers do this, where you can just line up their series and it's.
Dude,
I
shows a
want to fill
picture
these
or
out.
spells something.
Tyler and I were talking about this lately in a group chat where people were like, "I just hate the similarity of the design and it's not creative," and I was like, "Ah, I can see what you mean in some of them, but some
Yeah.
of them you want that through line."
I love.
You
I
want
mean,
the
didn't Fontaine do that with the
literal line
Nickelodeon decks?
Yeah,
Yes.
they
Does
do.
Nickelodeon's decks line up and say that?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
See,
pretty
I like
cool.
that. That's neat. I don't know. It just looks cool on the shelf.
OPC
it's a
does it
collection.
with their squeezers.
They
kinda
just
have a
changed
line,
it.
but they changed the tuck on the last one, right?
So on the lemon limes, the tuck has changed.
Yeah.
And what it was supposed to be was that that when we were designing lines at the beginning was that's why the crates were all the same. So although there was nothing distinguishable from the side, but it was like so you've got like the light blue stamp and the pink stamp and the gold stamp and the like blue reflective stamp, and then the juice box color has the same shape but different colorizations. And then obviously the court cards are all changed. But what was I gonna say? Dang it.
Mine was running a mile a minute.
Yeah.
Tyler, I wanted to hear the rest of how you pick out a deck.
Oh yeah.
And if
I'd have
Chris,
to
I don't know if
say-
Chris finished his.
I'd say it's kind of like whatever. I kind of cycle between. Right now, it's something shiny. I've got to have something shiny on it. Like these are like the 3 I probably circulate between right now. That and some.
Okay.
Um,
My deck does not belong in that group, but thank you.
It does.
It
does.
just was, Daniel.
Yeah.
False humility It's not actually humility.
Any broken border deck. Like I like to have a broken border deck with me, which 2 of the 3 were. But otherwise, like I typically, if I'm going out, I've got like a black and white deck.
Classy. Keep it classy.
The,
goes with everything.
Goes with the fit. Yep.
And goes with your color scheme of black usually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which we understand.
There's a picture, Tyler, of 2 sisters where one has like literally dyed her hair rainbow, and she's taking a picture next to her very
I've seen that.
Not super, but not emo, because it's not emo. It's not like
Goth.
gothic.
Right.
Yeah, no, but it's like
black.
in that. Yeah, it's in that. I remember I've seen that
She's
one.
got like a nose, like a septum ring, and she's got like black glasses, and her hair is black, and her sweatshirt's black, and she's got very fair skin. And it's like the polar opposite sisters.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's you and me as the twins. I'm like the vibrant rainbow colors, and you're the all black understated.
Yep.
That's
Actually,
I do like having it. If I'm wearing all black and I've got like a really bright color, it does make the outfit and the deck pop.
It does.
Right.
Chris, did you finish yours?
Mine was more of just like on the mood. Like what am I?
Yours
What
is
am
the
I?
mood ring.
Mine's
Yours is the
my
mood
like,
ring,
mood.
yeah.
Like what am I in the mood for? That's all it is.
Okay.
Well, gentlemen, I actually just realized we've been at this for 2 hours.
Yeah, I love it.
It's been awesome.
Crazy.
How long do you guys want to
It's
go?
about to be a Joe Rogan podcast over here.
Seriously, this is about to be a Joe Rogan podcast, but for me, it's almost 1 o'clock and it's 12:30 in the morning, and
Yeah,
in
it's
New York.
Yeah, and my kids got to go to bed soon.
12:25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want me to wrap up with mine?
Yeah.
Of course.
Wrap her up.
Yeah. How do you
Okay.
pick a deck?
So, if you guys are not familiar, because it sounds like everyone on the podcast is, Tyler wasn't necessarily super familiar with it, but I used to have a page, and it's still up, called More Than Paper.
Yes.
And if you go through this page, you will see that it's a greater than symbol and then like a white rectangle for
Yep.
More Than Paper. If you were to go through that page, I always did this. I love color coordinating things. So down to like literally my shoes, socks, shorts, t-shirt, sweatshirt, hat, whatever I was wearing that day would all match. And then I would pick a deck to coordinate. So if it was red and black was the theme, like today I'm wearing like a light blue, gray, kind of purpley, light blue shorts, and then white shoes. So I think I was messing around with like the blue Aladdins would have worked today. Some other like lighter blue colors would have worked. But I remember specifically, it all started, I think what really started it all off was I bought a windbreaker at Marshall's for $15 that specifically had the, and you can find this picture on there still, specifically had the marble like pattern of like white marble coloring, and then around the same time the deck of the block marble came out, and I remember taking pictures of the block deck with the block windbreaker, or with the marble windbreaker. And so I loved coordinating stuff, and I would pick it out. Like literally, I still do it to this day. If I'm going out, I'm matching the deck to whatever colors I'm wearing.
Nice.
Doesn't matter about feel. I'll pick a bad feeling deck to match the colors.
As long as everything matches at the end of the day.
Correct.
Really, Graham.
Yeah.
Well, got,
It's not even
Gentlemen-
for the gram. It's for me.
Yeah.
definitely. Gentlemen, we got to do this again, 'cause this was super fun.
It was like,
Yes,
I would be definitely
sesh.
down.
This is super fun for us. I mean, you guys are awesome to talk to. I mean, we always love talking to Tyler, and Tyler knows like he's always welcome on the podcast. He's like
Yes.
he's
This
basically
is the second time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was he
Yeah,
on
he's
before?
Second.
actually-
That's why when we got to listen to Nate's story, I was like stoked to hear it again, because it was like you guys needed to hear it.
Yeah, and
I
you know,
I got it like in person.
and
Yeah.
Tyler's an honorary member of Cards and Beards, so it's like he's the only other person. Honestly, he's the only other person outside the group that has a Cards and Beards casino prototype.
It's the one
the
and
failed,
only
the
displayed
failed
on my
Kickstarter. Yeah.
failed
It's the only
Kickstarter.
one displayed on my shelf. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's the
And
only
you know,
other person.
And Nate is, I mean, thank you
Awesome.
for coming on here. I
Dude,
love
you're welcome.
talking to you. You're a bright spot in the card community, I think, on Instagram. You,
Thank
you like
you,
to
dude.
keep it
That we
fun.
definitely
You
need.
want you like people to interact, and that's what I like. I like to
And
see. I like to see
it's
people
also more of
interacting.
like it's also more like Nate. You seem like I've seen you around now. I got to know you a lot more, and I'm very appreciative that I've gotten to know you a lot more. You also seem like not just in this community, but you seem like more like a brighter person in the world that we need more of. And in general, I think there's so much negativity happening and too much sadness going on that we need more people like you to be like, hey, let's brighten it up a bit. Like Patch Adams, smile.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boom.
Throwback.
Circle back.
Circle back.
All the way back.
All the way back. All the
But
way
no,
back.
I agree with Chris. Like you were. Keep it
Thanks,
up.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate
I appreciate all that
everything you do.
encouragement.
Yeah.
I will
guys-
say, or sorry, just to
No.
say that like
Yeah.
it's not always how I guess the brightness is how I used to be because that's how God made me. But like literally there were times where it would have been chasing after the greed of another deck or whatever else. And so like just wanting to give credit to the Lord to be like, that's how Jesus has changed my life. So I think that the world needs more people who can care less about themselves and actually go out and love other people. So
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
100%.
And
100%.
you display that wonderfully. And
well, thank you.
love it. Yes.
100%. Well, gentlemen,
I'll come back on.
definitely.
Sweet.